Perth Stadium for an important game for both the Fremantle Dockers and for Port Adelaide. The Dockers know they need to win to consolidate a spot in the top four, while for the Port Adelaide Football Club, it is all but do or die. Lose, and the way the games have gone this weekend, they will find themselves 2 games, and on top of that, percentage out of the 8. Big test for both of these clubs. Milestones are plenty as well. 150th game for Nathan Wilson, his first game of the season after an injury hit beginning to 2022. He's back, the defender for the Fremantle Football Club. And 100 games apiece for 2 All-Australians, Freo's Luke Ryan and Port Adelaide's Alir. There's also a debut for a young player with a great football name. Port gives a first game to Jace Burgoyne, the son of Peter, the nephew of Sean. And you can also mention, of course, a father and son pick. Of course he would be, taken at pick 60 in the 21 draft. There's a lot to like about this contest. To wrap up what's been a terrific week of football, we'll also keep you up to date with the game that's continuing between GWS and Hawthorn. The Giants by 19 points there at the moment, late in the third term. But a very short preview here between Freo and the Power. Clint Wilden alongside Ben Cameron in commentary. Ben, I'm really looking forward to this. They just got over the line last week, Port, and Freo were pretty disappointing away against Carlton. Welcome to you.
Yeah, thank you, Clint. I mean, the 2 Port clubs in the AFL, isn't it, with really proud traditions from their state-based competition. Port Adelaide in the SANFL as their own entity, and then Fremantle with both South and East Fremantle. Fremantle were really disappointing last week. Their last 2 games, they've lost the inside 50 count heavily. 61-47 against Hawthorn, which they were still good enough to win, and 64-40 against Carlton, which they obviously lost. Port Adelaide have been in good nick. They've won 7 of their last 9. The losses have come against the better sides, Richmond and Geelong. So we get another marker for them today. There is a late change. Xavier Dersmer is out with a quad issue. Coming in, Miles Bergman for Port Adelaide. No late changes for Fremantle. Banfield, the Medi-sub. Motlob for Port.
That 1 win, you would say, of that 7 that they've had, really, although they did sneak over the line against the Gold Coast in controversial circumstances last week too, right at the end of the game. A 23-point win over the Swans in round 14. But Sydney, since that time, have been, well, the big win over St Kilda and then the loss to Essendon. Other victims for Port along that run: West Coast, St Kilda, the Bulldogs, North down in Hobart, Essendon in Adelaide, Sydney in Adelaide, and the Gold Coast. They lost their 2 bigger challenges, of course, along the way when they were up against Essendon and Sydney. I beg your pardon, Essendon and Geelong and Richmond. I'll get there eventually. Good start to proceedings here in the West. Bo McDonald and Cara Antonio with you. G'day, guys. What are we expecting as we look forward to this game between Fremantle and Port Adelaide?
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Cara. Look, I'm expecting a desperate Port Adelaide side, and I think Port Adelaide supporters would expect nothing else this week with what's on the line.
Yeah, 100%. I think Fremantle, as we've already mentioned, were very disappointing last week. They got smashed in every single stat possible apart from the hit-outs. Obviously, with Shawnee Das in there, he's been pivotal to their clearance work, so I reckon they'll be wanting to get on top in the clearances today. For me, it's the midfield battle. I'm really looking forward to the, Brayshaw, Brodie, Sarong, Mundy Fife taking on Yaboke, Wines, and Drew inside. So they're obviously light on in the ruck, Port Adelaide, with Finlayson playing that role. So I reckon Shawnee Das will have to really stretch Port Adelaide, run forward. We know he can hit the scoreboard. So, look, beautiful day for footy here in Perth. I'm really looking forward to this clash.
Yes, it's certainly going to be. I'm really looking forward to the smalls for Freo. You're looking at their name bench and Sarong, Walters, Wilson, Frederick. There's pace there, and I think that's what they need to get back those small forwards, getting that pressure, front half footy. That's been their DNA for the season. They've been a good team all year, and like you said, Cara, they had a poor game last week, and generally after that you look at yourself pretty harshly, don't you, and come out and give a better performance. So it's going to be a tough gig for the Port Adelaide Footy Club this game, and Freo will be looking to get back on track.
Oh yeah, 100%. And again, it's a hard one on the road to win. We all know that coming over here to Optus Stadium. But if anyone's going to do it, it's the Port Adelaide Footy Club. I feel like when push comes to shove, they grit their teeth and they find a way to win games of footy, which we've seen in this second half of the season. So good clash. I'm looking forward to it.
Interesting. Last week, Nat Fyfe had 11 disposals. Now that was his lowest ever total in a game since his 10th game of AFL football, which was round 16 in 2010. Quite incredibly. That's excluding the shortened games due to the COVID seasons, the two of them, and games in which he's been injured and hasn't played the next week. But outside of that, in virtually 194 games, that was the lowest tally Nat Fyfe has ever had. David Mundy was uncharacteristically poor as well. A number of turnovers, which is very rare from the silky David Mundy.
Yeah, I'll be very surprised as to we're saying it 2 weeks in a row. Players, they're superstars of the competition, rarely have 2 weeks like that in a row. So look, let's wait and see. I'll be really surprised if it happens. But yeah, Fyfe up forward is I like it, and I think Freo are going to have to, their key forwards are going to have to work together to separate the Port backs, because they've got some really good backs there that can come third up, as the Fremantle.
Yep.
So that's going to be the key at both ends, I suppose, in the 50.
Yeah, I've been really interested to see how that Fyfe role would play midfield forwards split. I like him better up forward. I feel like the start of the season, obviously Fremantle didn't have him inside, and the young kids have been able to get the job done. So I wouldn't disturb what's been working. Push him forward. We know he can take a clunking mark, and we know his work aerially is impressive. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what JL does today.
He's a hard matchup because he's ground level too, isn't
Correct.
He? So it's just such a difficult matchup. And then if you think he can get some other small pace in around there. It's going to be a good match. Obviously, the clearances. Do we expect to see a really contested game? They're both really high in the pressure differentials in the league, with Port sitting number 1 and Freo sitting number 4. So it's going to be scrappy early, isn't it? What you'd expect is what the history of the stats tell us. It's probably going to be the team that can start getting it on the outside that'll get it on the scoreboard.
And it's two of the better defences in the competition, believe it or not. I mean, Port Adelaide averaged 72 points conceded per game this season, which is third in the competition behind only Fremantle and Melbourne, and Freo averaged 65. So it's two really good defences, but Fremantle's midfield and the rest of the team can't concede 61 or 64 inside 50s and a 2-to-3 ratio like they have in the last fortnight if they want to win today against Port Adelaide. There's too much class inside that attacking 50 for Port, with the likes of Marshall, Dixon, Rosie if he plays half forward, etc.
Oh, definitely. And they need a pressure at the source. They need to, even if, Port Adelaide can read the taps of Darcy and win the clearance count, I don't think that will really matter, but it's about pressure at the source and being able to create a hack kick out rather than clean ball out the front of a stoppage. And really, that's so hard to defend as defenders and backliners. So, yeah, the mids need to get to work. I know they reassessed themselves during the week. Will Brodie came out and said they were disappointed with their work at stoppage and clearances. So, yeah, I have no doubt we'll expect a different Fremantle today inside.
Fremantle wearing their Indigenous jumper to celebrate the start of NAIDOC week, and the Indigenous players from both teams just met in the middle, showing the Torres Strait Islander flag and the Aboriginal flag as well. Toss of the coin just taking place. Take your job for once here, Ben, and it's been won by Fremantle. Nat Fyfe pointing towards the city end of Perth Stadium to the right of our broadcast position. Let's head downstairs and find out what it's like boundary side. Cash Fodadar with us today. G'day, Cash.
Good afternoon, Clint. The atmosphere is building here nicely. A lot of purple filing in. It feels a lot cooler than the 18 degrees that's forecast, but it is bright sunshine, perfect conditions for football, and the ground looks in good nick despite the international rugby last night. Starting on the bench for Fremantle, Caleb Sarong, Michael Walters, Nathan Wilson and Michael Frederick, with Bailey Banfield as the medical sub. And for Port Adelaide, Robbie Gray, Miles Bergman, who is that late in, Lockie Jones and Jace Burgoyne on debut, and Stephen Motlop is the medical sub for Port Adelaide.
Giants lead by 19 at Giants Stadium. They're up 9-2 to 5-7 over the Hawks. 29 gone in the third there. Who wins today, Bo? Cara?
I think it's the Dockers at home for me.
Yeah, the Dockers by 3 goals for me.
Freo have to win.
Must win for Freo. It's a must win too for Port Adelaide as well. The late out, or the late out of Xavier Dersma makes it even more challenging for them. Gray, though, does return, and so does Darcy Byrne-Jones. Huge game for these sides. Let's get started. Here's Ben Cameron.
Finlayson starting in the ruck, wins the tap down to Wines for Port. Boak feeds it out back to Finlayson. Kicks inside 50 in the Dixon direction. Pearce gets a fist in, does well. Pepper onto it though for Port. Slips over, gets a handball away. Farrell under pressure. Eventually gets a handball out. Young comes in for Freo. Handball to Walker, handball to Pearce. His handball stolen by Rosie to Pepper. Kicks Port towards full forward. In good position, Georgiades. He fumbles it. It stays in the end. And the Dockers in the back pocket. It's mopped up there by Clark.
So Clark, the former Cat, runs to the right back pocket, kicks beyond defensive 50, stretching Taberner, able to outpoint McKenzie, gets tackled by Burton. Well done by the power player. And they'll take the advantage, Port, here. Darcy Byrne-Jones back in the team this week. They look to sweep it forward through Finlayson. Comes inside to Farrell, kicks towards full forward. Georgiades marks. He has it at right full forward, just to the right of the goal square. And he should, though, be able to go back and kick from no more than about 15 out, but it is a 45-degree angle to the right.
Fremantle just had nothing. Taberner had nothing to kick to ahead of the footy there. You saw the likes of Fife starting forward, getting sucked up way too high, and just got caught holding the ball. Great quick ball transition from Port Adelaide, and nice bit of bodywork at the top of the square there.
Mitch Georgiades, the 20-year-old player. Georgiades comes in, shoots at goal and kicks Port's first. It comes in the opening 2 minutes of the game. Port Adelaide 1 straight 6. Fremantle yet to score on Grandstand AFL. An update again from Sydney. The Giants lead the Hawks by 13, 9-2-56 to 6-7-43.
It's a great bit of work by Georgiades. As the ball was coming in, he sold the dummy with his right arm, and it was an invitational kick just to the right side, and he was able to use his body. So that was really clever play by the young West Aussie.
Georgiades, one of 2 West Aussies in the team for Port today. Sam Pepper and Georgiades, 3 as well as Alia. Alia in game 100 as well. There's a number of milestones today. Luke Ryan in his 100th game, and Nathan Wilson playing game 150. Bounce back in the middle. Port with the first goal. There's a free kick in the middle. It's going to go the way of Port. Finlayson to get it on his left. Drives them long inside 50 towards Dixon. Young comes in to spoil it down. Loose footy inside 50. Gathered there by Ace. Handball to Walker. Handball to Ryan. A little fumble in his milestone game. Dodgy kick. It just finds Cox in the right back pocket for the Dockers. Port Adelaide's goal, the only score of the game through the opening 3 minutes. Cox kicks long for Freo, beyond defensive 50. Darcy brings it down in front. Going in Farrell for Port. Wines is there too. He's over the footy. The umpire holds his arms to his chest. We'll get a ball up. 60 out from Port's attacking goal. They're 1 straight 6. Freo yet to score, yet to go inside 50. 3 minutes in.
One down by Finlayson. Tapped it over his shoulder. Freo, though, will get the clearance. They come down the commentary wing and good tackle. Oh, it's a push in the back. Jonas had it. Lowe gives away the free. And now Jonas has been given 50 because Lowe stood there and didn't come around to stand on the mark as required by the officials.
I think he'd forgotten he was a forward then. He was almost standing like Port Adelaide were going the opposite.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Well, he has been throwing forward, throwing back, throwing forward, throwing back. So here he is, Jonas, inside forward 50. Big pack up, no one can take the mark. Spills down to Brayshaw. Clearing kick bounces beyond defensive 50. Here's Logue again. Tries to take on Farrell. Got it out. Drew, tremendous tackle. Wrapped up Hughes. Ball spilled over the boundary line for a throw-in. Port, though, they're up and about. Their pressure has been superb early on. 4 minutes gone in the opening term. Port are 1 straight 6. The Dockers yet to score.
So Port Adelaide with the fast start. Darcy wins the tap. Farrell onto it for Port. Gathers on the second bite. Jams it onto the left. High ball inside 50. Georgiades is there. Pearce drops the mark for the Dockers. Aish mops it up. Gives it off to Ryan. Kicks towards Cox. Bouncing ball in the pocket. Runs back into the traffic. Evades Pepper. Has time. Gets it on his right boot. Shanks his kick. It falls to Burton, who juggles the mark. 45 metres out, ever so slightly right of centre.
Just perceived pressure. I mean, Port Adelaide have come out firing, tackle, 1%ers, that the pressure acts, but Fremantle very fumbly early, just coughing the ball up far too easily here.
So Ryan Burton, the former Hawk, drives it on goal from 50, and it's a power surge to start. Port with the opening 2 goals of the game. They're 2 straight 12. Fremantle yet to score, yet to go inside 50. It's 6-zip in that statistic. We've played 5.5 minutes in the opening term on Grandstand AFL. Clint Wilden, Ben Cameron, Cara Antonio, Bo McDonald.
Great start by Port Adelaide. The pressure, like you said, Cara, has been outstanding, and Fremantle just really haven't had time and space at all to get an easy possession, so to say, at the moment. So obviously getting it in their front half and then all folding up behind and just a few, as we saw then, a skill error, a bit of a dump kick into the corridor. You'd probably prefer that to go out wide and play the percentages. So a little shaky start from the Dockers.
Port asking a few questions. Fremantle yet to find any answers. Darcy against Finlayson in the middle. And the bounce, Darcy won it down. Sarong over the top of it. Brayshaw picked it up, gave it to Mundy. Hand passes back to Clark. Hand pass to Sarong. Sweeps it out to Walker. From centre wing, ugly kick. Bounces towards Logdo. Got tackled by Jonas, lost it. Wines picks it up for Port. Hand passes back to Bergman. This is Burgoyne, who turns it over. Disappointing early possession for the young man on debut. Clark marks it right half forward, puts it back inside attacking 50. Darcy comes at it, couldn't win it down, spills to Amon, and the free kick's been paid here. It'll come back to Wines, and Wines will kick Port out towards right half back where Drew marks, hands it on to Aliir.
Here he goes, kicking out in front of Jones, the rising star nominee from last week. Mullet flowing, kicks into the pocket for Georgiades. He marks 25 out deep in the right forward pocket, and Port Adelaide worked it beautifully from one end of the ground to the other.
Geez, that was a great decision there with the kick. He had a couple of layers. He had one really easy short as well, but to be able to see over the top, Georgiades coming on a bit of a longer lead, and once again, just great delivery.
He was inaccurate last week. 2 goals, 4. Widely considered a very good shot at goal. Tight angle here. This would give Port the dream start. 30 out, drop punt on its way. It's a goal. Georgiades has got a couple. And Port Adelaide at 3 straight, 18. Fremantle yet to score. We've played 8 minutes in the opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Well, what happened there was Fremantle's delivery inside forward 50, way too shallow. There was Sean Darcy had a mismatch because Finlayson hadn't followed him in, and the kick was just far too short and didn't have enough height on it, and then therefore Finlayson got out the back. He wasn't involved with it, but ran really hard and just created the overlap and the free because the backs had to cover him. So really smart play there from Port Adelaide, and Fremantle just need to probably just take care of the footy a little bit more going inside forward 50.
2 marks, 2 disposals, 2 goals. Mitch Georgiades. Finlayson against Darcy. It's a shocking bounce. They should bring it back. They will. Umpire now to throw it up. Wines and Mundy stand next to each other. Fingertips down by Darcy. Came to Brayshaw. To Mundy. Fremantle away. Kicks inside forward 50. Taberner out. Did well. Walters was standing there, had Houston with him, and it allowed the space behind as they battled for Taberner to come through and take the mark for the Dockers. About 40 from goal. He'll start in line with the right hand behind post.
Looked like, I think his direct opponent was it McKenzie, may have slipped over a little bit. Taberner, obviously, Walters, I think it was, running back with the fly of the ball, and Taberner just said, watch out, I'm coming, and he pulled away. So good communication down there, just needs to convert now.
Port have kicked the opening 3 goals of the game. Taberner now from 45. Freo desperately need this. He delivers for the Dockers. They're on the board in the 10th minute of the opening term. Port Adelaide 3 straight 18. Matt Taberner puts Fremantle to 1 straight 6. Here on Grandstand AFL, Clint Wilden alongside Ben Cameron, our experts Cara Antonio and Bo McDonald.
David Mundy already showing that he's turned around from last week, getting busy there in the centre bounce. Just a lovely delivery. I suppose he's made a couple of mistakes last week, more so decisions, which was rare than anything, but he looks like he's going to have a big game today.
Sorry, Benny, I was just about to say, every time he gets the ball, he's going to do something with it. That's why it was really uncharacteristic last week, wasn't it?
It is interesting. Fremantle have been slow starters the last 6 weeks. They've trailed at half-time in their last 6 games, having not trailed in their opening 8. So, for whatever reason, just been a little slow out of the blocks the last 6 weeks. Crooked bounce in the middle. This time the umpire puts it aloft. Darcy slaps it out of the area, going after it. Sarong. Rosie beats him to it. He's tackled by Brody, holding the ball. And Brody will get the free kick in the middle for the Dockers. So Port Adelaide with the first 3 goals of the game. Fremantle with the last major. Brody a low ball towards half forward. Logue slides out, can't gather on the half volley. Aim on there for Port, shovels out a handball. Coming through Gray, he has a little fumble. Tackled by Sarong, Drew picks it up. Handball to Houston, handball to Waymon, dribbles the ball cleverly along the boundary line. Georgiades comes up. He's carried out by Ryan, will get a throw in on the wing. Port Adelaide 3 straight 18, Fremantle 1 straight 6. 11.5 gone opening term.
Good battle, early stages. Port have looked tremendous. Freo now hitting back with the last major. Darcy comes out, takes clean possession. Works it with Brody, shares it with Clark, back to Brody, hand pass to Wilson. The 150th to Walker, breaks through the tackle. Hand passes to Frederick, break 1 tackle, broke a second. Hand pass was there for Brayshaw, doesn't pick it up, just sockers it forward. Bergman back there for the power inside defensive 50. Burne-Jones steps away from Schultz. Kicks Port towards right half back. Georgiades had 2 to beat. Knocked to ground here by Fremantle. It came to Wilson. Sends it inside forward 50. Carries the pack though. Sat up the aim on O'Lear. Got there. Hand pass into trouble. And will rush it through here, says Houston. And he makes sure it goes back for a minor score. Nervous moments for Port, but they survive. The Dockers 1-1-7. Port Adelaide 3 straight 18. 12.5 gone in the first.
So Houston with the kick in for Port. Runs to the pocket, sends it towards the southern wing. Georgiades goes up and claims it. Handball away to Mead running by. He thinks about drawing Aish, then he's tackled by Brody, gets it away to Rosie. Rosie shows a clean pair of heels, kicks towards full forward. Pearce is there. He juggles the mark defensively for the Dockers. Kicks laterally quickly to Collier through his legs. Eamon arrives for Port. Collier keeps fighting. Now Gray picks it up for Port. He loses it in a tackle. The umpire lets them play. Slapping it out Gray to Farrell. Handball away towards Amon and eventually Cox will carry it out. Port 50 throw in for Port. Fremantle 1-1-7. Port 3 straight 18. 13 gone opening term.
Just a reminder, Logue playing forward again today. The Fremantle Dockers at full forward of all things. Spun back into play. 1 down by Lobb. Drew put his head over the top of the football, just gets a kick away despite being tackled by Brayshaw. Burton runs onto it, meets it, 48 out from goal, kicks towards goal, but he misses to the left-hand side. Minor score for Port, their first of the day. They're 3-1-19. Freo 1-1-7, 14 gone in the first.
So Luke Ryan with the kick in for Fremantle. What a pick. At pick 66 back in 2016, long towards the wing. Aaliyah spoils it down for Port. Brayshaw able to pick it up for the Dockers. Handball into congestion. Loose footy on the wing. Brody goes and picks it up. He's tackled quickly. And the umpire to ball it up between wing and left half forward for Port. Umpires Howarth, Stevic and O'Gorman in charge of this one today. Sarong with the clearance. Tumbles it towards the wing. Houston there for Port. Tackled by Walters. He gets a handball away to Burton. He's ripped off it by Schultz. Freo come away with the footy. Sarong out in front of Logue. He slides in and marks. 51 metres out. He'll chip it inside 50 and just find Aish. 47 metres out from the attacking goal for the Dockers. Walters offers a lead. He ignores that. He'll run around towards 50, drive it low and long on goal. It's gone through the major opening. The umpire wants to check it, and we'll get a score review. The soft signal is touched.
Just wasn't much movement from the Fremantle forwards. I think there was Walters that led up at the foot, and then everyone else was very stagnant. So Aish didn't really have any other choice then to go for that.
Well, it wasn't touched off the boot. We're checking that first and foremost. Lockie Jones coming across was endeavouring to touch it. It wasn't touched on the mark. And I think the goal umpire was more referring to on the line. Charlie Dixon was going up. And it doesn't look like it was touched there either. To me, I reckon there's daylight.
If so, that's just a really basic mistake for Port. There's a shot on goal from 50 out with a bit of a stop in play. It's just ruck work 101 that you get down almost on the fence and give yourself a run at the ball.
This is going to be overturned. Waiting for the all clear. It's a goal. And a steadier for Fremantle. Their second after Port kicked the opening 3. It's back to one straight kick. 3-1 plays 2-1 here on Grandstand AFL, 16 minutes into the opening stanza.
The ruck was there. It was Charlie Dixon, but it was just the technique of it all. He was coming back with the fight of the ball. He needed to get there early and give himself a real big launch at it. And just not quite tall enough. But Aaliyah there as well, two of them. You just think you'd be able to get a hand on that. So that's a big mistake for Port.
As all that was going on, Burton was in the hands of 3 trainers, well off the ball on the commentary wing. Certainly worse for wear. Didn't see what happened, but he's now gone back, shaking the trainers away, back into the fray. He was down for a good 20 seconds or so. Bounce of the footy. Dixon's in there against Darcy. Dixon won it down, hit the deck. Darcy picked it up, gave it to Brodie of the Dockers, then to Sarong, now to Aish. Hand passes back to Clark. He'll kick inside forward 50 for Fremantle. Decent battle here. Schultz up against Jonas. Ball hits the deck. Clark tries to emerge with it. Fife is in there. Fife got a hand pass out. Got it onto Collier. Popped it on the boot towards left full forward. McKenzie missed it. Aaliyah dived on it. Got tackled by Lobb. Can't get rid of the football. What will the umpire say? Play on. They shovel it out the back. Burgoyne, short pass, grub it along the ground to Wines. Now to Bergman. Goes beyond defensive 50, heading to the southern wing.
Bouncing ball. Georgiades is there. He gathers the footy. Thumps it long towards Marshall. He's there with Pearce. Over their heads it goes. Bouncing ball. Marshall slaps it down. Young onto it for the Dockers. Away to Clark. Kicks laterally to Aish. And the purple can settle. Aish goes short to Young. Usually a surgeon with that left foot. He kicks to Brodie in the middle. Now Wilson. Handball away to Clark. Has to gather on the half volley. Comes back into traffic. Kicks on the left inside 50. Going up, Jonas. The Port Adelaide skipper takes a strong defensive mark. The Power lead by 1 goal. 18 and a half into the first.
And flares it out towards left half back to Mead. He'll bring it down the line. Bounces in front of teammate in Powell Pepper. Moves it on to Eamon. Eamon sweeping it forward. Marshall gathers on the bounce. Gets a kick across half forward. Grubbers along the ground. Knocked back there by Brodie. The Dockers have it through Hughes. Courage from Brodie then. Hughes moves it across the face of goal to Mundy. Hughes again running by. Hand past the Fife. Stood up in the tackle. Got it away to Mundy again. Now by hand to Young. Kicks onto the chest of Walters. He marks in front of centre wing. Moves it again by foot to Frederick. Bounced in front of him. Gathered it beautifully. Spears it into Logue. Marking 50 out. Pops it into the left forward pocket. Lobb takes an uncontested mark. 25 or even less than that. Maybe 20 out from goal. He'll go back and have a shot, but it is a tight angle. It's going to be a challenging kick. 45 degrees to the left.
Number of missed kind of skills there, but again Fremantle had the time and space to be able to clean it up and hit up Lobb. Just needs to convert.
So Lobb needs to kick it. He does. And scores a level after being down by 3 goals at the 8-minute mark of the first term. Fremantle have hit back. 3-1-19 apiece here on Grandstand AFL as we head into time on in the first quarter.
Just looking at the tackle count, all up for the game. Both teams combined, there's only been 12 tackles for the quarter. You wouldn't have thought that coming into the start of the game. I think there's been a lot of broken tackles. The eyes tell us that, and then in these sort of games, when you break tackles, it generally ends up in an inside 50, and so it's going to be an interesting match to see where this goes. I think Freo finally settled a little bit, back on even terms.
So Fremantle have kicked the last 3 goals. That came after Port kicked the first 3 of the match. Scores level, as Clinton Bowe said. Bounce favours Darcy. Umpire considered letting them play, eventually decides to bring it back.
Darcy should be taking Finlayson to the cleaners here in the centre bounce.
Umpire puts it aloft. Darcy hooks it down towards Brodie. Paddles out in front of himself, getting involved. Rosie soccers it out of there. Straight to Collier for Freo. Handball to Mundy. Handball to Young. Handball to Darcy. Back to Young and now Wilson. Wilson looks forward of centre for the Dockers. Out towards half forward. Walters goes up. Burgoyne there with him. Burgoyne does well. Close to the boundary line. It goes out and we'll get a throw in between wing and left half forward.
Darcy doing what he should. Finlayson's just left the centre circle getting over the stoppage. He gave him a great big knee just to let him know that he's in the ruck.
Burgoyne does look like a Burgoyne. He's got the socks up. Family tradition.
Ball hits the deck from the restart. Shoveled out by Hughes. It'll come to Young. Kicks inside forward 50. He wanted Frederick, who gives away the free kick. Taking Burne-Jones high. For the power, moves it to Houston. Defensive edge of the centre square. The kick to Wines. Sweeping the hand pass forward. It's on to Boak. Has it at left half forward. Goes back to Farrell. Kicks deep towards full forward. Wilson's up. Couldn't mark. Spilled off his hands. Flew against Cox. Picked up here by Marshall for the power. It came to Powell-Pepper. Back to Marshall. That is a wonderful goal. From right up against the boundary in the left forward pocket. Throws the boot at it and curls it through for a delightful major. Port Adelaide, they hit the front again. The power of 4-1-25. The Dockers 3-1-19. 22 and a bit gone in the opening term. An update from Sydney at Giants Stadium. GWS up by 26, 11-3-69 to the Hawks, 6-7-43.
You can just see the shallow entry down the other end from Fremantle. Frederick, I think, 2-on-1, gave away the free kick, and then Port Adelaide are able to transition the ball much quicker and cleaner. And
as soon as you look up, they're goal side, aren't
correct.
They? You just got the Freo probably just need to help each other out a little bit more to hurry up and get goal side and shut it down.
Unbelievable goal.
Seems to have found his,
wasn't
Yeah.
seems to have found his feet at the level as well, Todd Marshall. 25 goals in the past 9 games. In a little while coming for someone Port have been big on for a long time. Finlayson picks it up in the middle. Kicks on his left inside 50 towards Dixon. Wrestling with Pearce illegally. A free kick will go the way of Port. The mark set 45 metres out, a 30-degree angle to the left-hand side.
Wouldn't mind, yeah. Look at this. Not a lot in that. I wouldn't have thought.
So big bad Charlie Dixon. He's hit the scoreboard in all 4 games he's played this year from 49. His drop punt is away to the left. Port Adelaide by 7 points. 24 minutes gone, opening term, Grandstand AFL. Sunday afternoon football out west.
Clark's had it 9 times already on the ground. He leads all comers. As Cox goes with a thumping kick. Back towards centre half back. Ball bounces around. Wilson with a hand pass out under pressure to Walker. Has to run backwards. Hands it off to Brayshaw inside his defensive 50 still. And that's a clever kick. Just pops it up into the air and invites Aish to run towards the boundary line to mark it. He stabs it to Collier, who has it at right half back. Collier has to pause for a moment. Wines leading the way for Port with 5 disposals. Kick for Freo to centre wing. Taberner got hands to it. Punched forward though by Dixon, came to Bergman. The kick was really hot, hit very hard at Mead, couldn't mark, got tackled by Ryan, it spilled out to Wines. Moves it on to Bergman at left half forward, the hand pass to Jones. He couldn't quite mop it up. Ball's over the boundary line for a throw-in. Freo fans holding the ball for a moment ago for the Ryan tackle, not to be on Mead. You see it again on the big screen, and they're even grumpier about it, Ben Cameron. Port Adelaide lead by 7 points here.
Dixon and Darcy, a couple of big boys there. They lock up. Darcy flicks it down. Crowd thought there might have been a free kick for Brayshaw. Amon able to gather it on the wing for Port. Errant handball from Wines. Turns it over to Collier. Goes back to Aish, who's under pressure, can only snap around the body. It'll land on the chest of the Brownlow medalist Wines. He'll kick casually into the middle. It finds Burne-Jones. His handball dodgy. Rosie almost stripped of it there by Frederick. It falls to Burgoyne though, who gives it back to Rosie. Kicks inside 50 for Port. And Cox gets back and marks. Defensive mark for the Dockers, 20 out from their defensive goal.
So Cox will move it towards left half back. Leaping up. Not a bad mark there from Hughes. It's made to work with it. He just has to shield his eyes from the sun for a moment. One of the few spots in the ground here still affected by the sunlight rays. He moves it across half back to Wilson, the 150 gamer. Kicks across again to right half back where Ryan marks and then has plenty of time and space to work with. He took a bounce, decided to go back to centre half back. Brennan Cox in another one of those little dots of sunlight that creep through. He kicks to centre wing. On the northern side of the ground, it's marked by Aish. It's a slow, deliberate build-up here for Fremantle. Certainly leading the way with uncontested marks, 18-8. Make that 19-8 as the kick is short to the logo, northern wing, and it's marked by Young. Young gets told to move it on. He'll kick towards right half forward. He wants low. Kick had a bit too much on it. Boak was behind him, couldn't mark. Aish hand passes it forward, was taken high, and will get the free kick. A big cheer. The Fox one.
Free kick count 6-2, which is why Freo fans are upset, Clint.
I'll tell you a bit more about the umpires in a moment, as the kick was meant to be for Young. He tried to send it inside forward 50, but it's been intercepted by Wines, and Wines will then steer it out to Boak. For about 7 minutes before the start of the game, the Port Adelaide coach in Ken Hinkley had a long chat with the three umpires. I'd love to know what they were talking about. I'm not exaggerating too. It was 7 minutes. I timed it.
Port Adelaide move it across their defensive goal. Charm offensive from Ken.
Very much.
Aaliyah chips it short, looking for a leading Farrell. He can't take the mark. Hughes there with him, out of play, throw in.
Maybe getting more clarification on insufficient intent from last week, perhaps.
Correct. Port Adelaide by 7 points. Closing in on quarter time here on Grandstand AFL.
Ooh.
Just looking at the replay of Aish being taken high. A bump from Jonas. Fremantle win it out of the contest. Here's Walker, long towards full forward. Taverner in good position. Two hands to it, doesn't complete the mark. Burgoyne there to mop up. Kick partially smothered by Collier. Spills to Aish. Away to Brayshaw. Back to Aish. He stops, props, chips, and finds lob inside 50.
Cara, to your point there, that they get it in long and deep there. They give themselves a second chance on that lay to keep it in there, and it looks much better when they go long.
So lob takes the mark, 40 metres out, directly in front. He's already got one today. Boot to ball from 45. He sneaks it home. He's got a couple. And Fremantle respond again. It's back to a point. Oh, hang on. We're going to get a score review. Did it nick the post? It looks like there's daylight between the ball and the goalpost. We should be okay. In terms of this score review,
I'm putting it in the book.
There's clear daylight. So the Fremantle fans rejoice. After a nervy moment, it's back to a point. 4-2-26 plays 4-1-25 a half hour into this opening term.
Just had a text, by the way, from someone who may have been lurking. Ken Hickley was talking to the umpires about rule interpretations in particular. By the way, worth noting for people, the centre wing broadcast side, very slippery and muddy where the rugby interchange was last night, and we can see it certainly looks a lot worse than it did when we got here today. But yeah, the ground, well, it did have a rugby international on it last night, but there are a few little spots. But that was interesting. I'm suggesting the umpires were doing anything untoward, but certainly a charm offensive from a senior coach never goes astray.
Yeah, well, you called it, Clint, so well played.
Cheers for my friend downstairs. Sent me that little message. 4-2-26 Port Adelaide, 4-1-25 the Dockers. We've gone past the half an hour mark here on Grandstand AFL. The bounce of the footy. Darcy got fingertips to it, came back to him, shovels the hand pass forward to Fife. Oh, Mundy bursting by. Runs to centre half forward, spears the pass to full forward to Lobb. That was slick. And Mundy and Fife combining, just like everyone in purple would be desperate to see them do.
That was almost like a training drill out of the centre. Fife's been quiet. I think he's had the 4 touches, but all handballs. But really key in that passage of play to be able to lay the block for Mundy to lace out Lobb.
Champagne football, wasn't it?
And the delivery you expect from David Mundy. Can Lobb kick his third? Oh, it's out to the left. No, that was not great. And he knew it as well. Shake of the head and a stare at the big screen. Scores level 4-2-26. Freo and Port, 31 gone in the first.
Burton kicks to DBJ. Darcy Byrne-Jones at halfback for Port. Moves it on to Burgoyne with those socks up in family tradition. Kicks around the wing out of bounds on the full. Not quite finding the Burgoyne silk just yet, Chase, on debut.
Had the 6 touches already. Impressive.
Found the footy. Not quite the distribution as Cox takes the kick, moves it to Geordie Clark, who goes to fullback and Pearce. Scores level at Perth Stadium. Pearce will kick long towards the northern wing. Schultz goes up. Jonas there with him. Jonas brings it to ground. Amon gathers. He's tackled by Brayshaw and called for a throw. Randy Brayshaw to get the kick. Just backward of the AFL logo on the broadcast side of the ground. 4-2-26 apiece.
Disposal 8 for Brayshaw. Aish and Clark have both had it 10 times. Wines now with 9. The kick towards right half forward. Big pack there. Darcy brought it to ground. Boak got in the way. Hand pass backwards. Stolen by Fredericks. Tackled by Byrne-Jones. Ball up will be the call. Bounce 70 out from Freo's goal. Right half forward. Can't be long to play in this term. Darcy palms it down. Fife's out after it. Met solidly the other way by Rosie. And that is quarter time. Port Adelaide kicking the first 3. The Dockers responded with the next 3. Then Port got 1. Then Freo drew us level. There's been a lot to like about the contest. 2 sides who had plenty to play for. Fremantle looking to consolidate a spot in the top 4. Port trying to keep their season alive. 4-2-26 apiece at quarter time. The goal kickers for Port Adelaide. Mitch Georgiades has 2. Marshall and Burton with singles, while Rory Lobb has 2 for Fremantle. Taberner and Aish, the other goal kickers. An update for you as well from Giants Stadium. 26 minutes gone there in the final term. GWS by 28 points. 11-5-71 to the Hawks 6-7-43. And if you've just joined us earlier today, Richmond by 35 points over the West Coast Eagles. But we're locked up at 26 points apiece here at Perth Stadium. Thanks to ABC Sport, wherever you're listening on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
If you love sport, you and I are going to get along, and we have got the podcast for you. ABC Sport Daily, it's your daily sports conversation.
The biggest danger of this kid, and that's all he is he loves riding a bike.
Trust the Suncorp Stadium magic. They've got to trust the Queensland mythos, the Queensland spirit, all that.
To see Sam Kerr, to see Steph Catley, to see Kaya Simon.
The cricketing public in Australia demands the Ashes.
Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Darcy Byrne-Jones back in the team this week. They look to sweep it forward through Finlayson. Comes inside to Farrell. Kicks towards full forward. Georgiades marks. He has it at right full forward. Georgiades comes in, shoots a goal and kicks Port's first. It comes in the opening 2 minutes of the game.
Jones, the rising star nominee from last week, mullet flowing, kicks into the pocket for Georgiades. He marks 25 out deep in the right forward pocket. Tight angle here. This would give Port the dream start. 30 out, drop punt on its way. It's a goal. Georgiades has got a couple.
Came to Brayshaw. It's a Monday. Fremantle away. Kicks inside forward 50. Taverner out. About 40 from goal. He'll start in line with the right hand behind post. Freo desperately need this. He delivers for the Dockers. They're on the board in the 10th minute of the opening term. Farrell kicks deep towards full forward. Wilson's up, couldn't mark. Spilled off his hands. Flew against Cox. Picked up here by Marshall for the power. It came to Powell-Pepper. Back to Marshall. That is a wonderful goal. From right up against the boundary in the left forward pocket. Throws the boot at it and curls it through for a delightful major.
Burgoyne there to mop up. Kick partially smothered by Collier. Spills to Aish. Away to Brayshaw. Back to Aish. He stops, props, chips, and finds lob inside 50. 40 metres out directly in front. He's already got one today. Boot to ball from 45. He sneaks it home. He's got a couple. And Fremantle respond again.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Fremantle hosting Port Adelaide and scores a level at quarter time. 4-2-26 apiece. There was a late change change too for Port Adelaide. Xavier Dersma out with a quad problem. It was after they'd actually confirmed the final teams, but Dersma came out late. And coming in, Miles Bergman, quite fascinating. He was only brought into the side, well, when the teams were originally named. Fantasia and Cleary went out. Bergman and Schofield came in as additional players to their squad. And now he finds himself playing on the Sunday. So Miles Bergman, the late in after the late out of Xavier Dersma. What have you made of it all? It's been entertaining to watch. Bo McDonald, Cara Antonio.
Yeah, Freo jumped early. Don't get me wrong. 3 goals in quick succession from Port Adelaide. But I think that second half of that first quarter, the Dockers were able to get the balance right around the stoppage. They're down in contested possession, -8, but the balance outside for me is what is keeping them in the game. They're plus 34. The likes of Young off the halfback, Clark and Aish, who we've already mentioned throughout that quarter, have been outstanding, just providing that run and carry and a number of inside 50s from them. The big talls were involved late in that quarter with, Rory Lobb hitting the scoreboard a number of times and actually leading to the foot of the kicker, which made it a little bit easier. But I've been really impressed with Port Adelaide's pressure. Yes, they're not up in the tackle count, but I think that perceived pressure and coming up to the ball carrier and being able to push Fremantle back into their back half has been what's impressed me the most, and they've been able to score from it.
Yeah, it's like you said, Cara. It's been an arm wrestle. I think as the game goes on, just watching the ruck battle in the first quarter, Dixon and Finlayson through the middle. I think Darcy's going to grind them down, even though there's 2 of them. We're just watching Finlayson at the huddle, then getting lots of advice of what to do at the boundary throw-ins. He hasn't got the body strength to be able to go with Darcy, so I reckon Fremantle will hopefully capitalise in that area. He's been jumping into him, pretty hard in the first quarter. You may not see the results of that now, but towards the back end of the game, that'll be interesting to see what is Finlayson's strengths in there, where he's got to get on the run. He's got to, and they've got to use him. It's no point just getting on the run and out unless you're going to use him and try and make Darcy accountable. So that's going to be interesting to watch. You mentioned the tools. I think Georgiades was fantastic that quarter for Port Adelaide. He was taking his grabs, kicked a couple of goals. A couple of times he got upfield with an inside 50. His work rate is getting better, and what he does behind the ball as it's coming down to lose his defender and that forward craft where it's getting better and better every week.
Get some numbers for you. The first stoppage, ball back in the middle. Good bounce from the umpire. We're underway in the second quarter. Darcy won it down. Freo through Sarong, then Brayshaw to Brodie. Gets a kick away towards right half forward. Fife's there. He's got 2 to beat. He battles with Houston. Wins possession. Hand pass. Oh, just behind Schultz, who can't quite drag it in. It's over the boundary for a throw in at right half forward.
Some of the numbers up to quarter time. The inside 50s 14 to 12, so a lot of inside 50s. Clearances 12-5 the way of Fremantle. Contested possessions though +6 Port Adelaide. Fremantle also had a lot more of the ball, 110 disposals to 80.
Darcy gets away from Finlayson, gives it to Brodie by hand for the Dockers. Run straight at Bergman, just got a hand pass out. Sarong couldn't quite get there. Drew was lurking, so too Wines. Wines hand pass for Bergman, couldn't pick it up, but was taken a bit high. They'll take the advantage from the free kick here, Port. Rosie's with it, hand passes back to Bergman. Kicks down the southern wing, looking to try to find Dixon, and he gives away a free kick for a pretty ugly push into the back of Pearce, who's got it at right half back now in the shaded part of the ground for Fremantle.
So Pearce kicks around the southern wing. Bergman in front of Darcy, fisted out a player throw-in.
Full time, by the way, at Giant Stadium. GWS by 22 points over the Hawks, 11-6-72 to 7-8-50.
So scores level as they were at quarter time. Umpire spins it back in. Darcy wins the tap. Winds over the footy for Port. Shovels out a handball. Aish onto the loose footy. Handball to Sarong. Kicks into the middle of the ground. Oh, it splits the two Dockers, but Hughes attacks it, does well. Now he tries to pick it up under pressure. He's tackled quickly. And the umpire to come in and ball it up.
So Fremantle is sending Nat Fyfe into the stoppage to cause a bit of chaos. He can't get his hands on the footy, but it's disturbing the Port Adelaide midfielders at the moment.
Darcy takes it out of the ruck, gives it to Aish. She snaps the Dockers to half forward. Bouncing ball. Taberner tracking it close to the boundary line. McKenzie there with him. And they both watch it trickle out. A throw in on the southern side of the ground between wing and right half forward for the Dockers. Scores still level 2 minutes into the second.
So Freo midfield, Brayshaw, Sarong, Brodie, Fyfe, Aish at the back. Fyfe got the footy, gave it to Aish. Back to Fyfe, while hand passes behind Brodie. Jones is onto it, bounces off Wilson, who got in the way. Fortunately for Freo, gave it to Sarong, spears a pass to Fyfe, who claims the mark. It's not been paid. Ball came out the side. Umpires have called holding the ball. Brodie followed up, wrapped up Wines and got him. But Fyfe had stopped, and so too had a couple of other players. It was Finlayson rather that the Docker player was able to tackle. Kicks inside forward 50. That's nicely done from Aish, and he finds Darcy hard up against the boundary in the right forward pocket. Curious to see another replay of the Fyfe mark. I thought he definitely had it before it was knocked out of his hands. Umpires thought differently. So Sean Darcy, hard up against the boundary, puts boot to ball from about 48 metres out. It's swinging across the face, and it's through for a minor score, missing to the left. Dockers in front though, 4-3-27 to Port Adelaide 4-2-26. First time they've been in front for the game. 3 and a bit minutes gone in the second term. Grandstand AFL from Perth Stadium, and just repeating, the Giants by 22 points over the Hawks. Full time now in Sydney.
Trent McKenzie with the kick in. Nicknamed the Cannon, he goes long towards the wing. Nobody's able to mark down there. Big Sean Darcy bends over, picks it up. Handball to Sarong. Handball to Fyfe. Freo go forward. Kicks towards Taberner at full forward. Alir over the top, does well to fist it away. Out of play, forward 50 throw in for the Dockers. They lead by a point, as Clint mentioned. First lead of the day for the Dockers. Umpire spins it back in. Finlayson swats it away with his right hand. Back towards the boundary line. Schultz will be able to run it in. Tries to get around Boak. He can't. Ball stays in though. Brayshaw picks it up. Back feeds a handball to Clark. He'll hook across his body. A high ball inside 50. Big pack forms. Ball comes down in front. Amon's there to rove. Can't gather though. Drew comes through. He does nicely for Port to McKenzie. Away to Houston and a kick to the wing.
Very high kick out there, and a good mark taken by Ryan, the 100-gamer. Made to work for it against Georgiades. The kicks to Sarong, who marks. Still at right half forward. 2 kicks from goal. He'll pop it inside forward. 55 up and marking. got away from his opponent, takes the uncontested grab. About 38 from goal. He'll start in line with the right hand behind post.
Well done, Rory Lobb. Just the lure there, just coming hard at the foot, and he could have got it hit on his chest in the lead, but it opened up the hole over the back for Fife, and it splits the Port defenders and doesn't allow Lear to come over and get third up. It's a bit of a selfless role and something he's done really well today.
Nat Fife, let's be honest, not a noted goal kicker. But ball in hand, and the captain for Fremantle sends this on its way. The Purple Army will tell you what that meant to them, and indeed to their captain. Nat Fife kicks the goal for Fremantle that puts them out to a 7-point lead. 5-3-33 to Port, 4-2-26. It never looked like missing. What might that do for the skipper's confidence in front of goal? And listen to the cheer as Fife makes his way through the interchange bench to take a seat.
Well, he's not known as a goal kicker, but he's playing a completely different role today. Hasn't played any time in the midfield unless he's that high half forward. So you could see how much that meant to him and the rest of the footy club.
All of a sudden, Fremantle have kicked 5 of the last 6 goals. Lob in the ruck, opposed to Dixon. Lob jumps high, swats it out in front of Mundy, runs onto the footy, handball to Frederick, left foot kick towards Taberner. He can't take the mark, over the back it goes. Logue's there to mop it up, handball to Brayshaw, 15 out, snaps on goal, 2 in a minute for Freo. The Dockers out by 13 points. 6-3-39 plays 4-2-26. And maybe it was the past in Nat Fife and the future in Andy Brayshaw with those back-to-back goals.
And started at the centre bounce. I reckon it's going to be a problem for Port Adelaide as this game goes on. Rory Lobb comes in fresh. Dixon's been grinding away in there. Dixon's only 200 odd centimetres. Rory Lobb's 206 and got a terrific leap and arms as long as his legs on him. And we just saw there, he was able to get that hit out into the outer space and run onto it. And straight away you see it's pulled the Port sweeper back, and they're really proactive in there now. Freo.
Bounce again, Lobb versus Dixon. They both had a little touch on it. Dixon picks it up one-handed, was strong, and then dropped the footy, trying to get the kick away. Freo with the free kick. Mundy takes the advantage, kicks towards right half forward. Burton coming the other way, got there in front of Frederick, has to go back to Farrell, chased by Collier. Was brilliant in evading him enough. Now the umpire spotted a free kick here. It's coming back towards Collier. Did he run too far? Frees to Collier anyway, puts it into the right forward pocket. Burn-Jones against Walters, and it's seen over the boundary line for a throw-in.
Well, it was clearly talked about at quarter time, Bo, that they're losing contested ball. So I reckon get it to the outside, get on top in that uncontested ball, and you can see early on that's what the Fremantle midfielders have done.
And indeed, he did run too far before Farrell.
Umpire spins it in. Trying to pick it up. Farrell, his kick smothered. Now the Fremantle pressure comes. Eventually a clearing kick from Burn-Jones towards the wing. There's a free kick. It'll go to Freo.
How amazing. Port Adelaide haven't even registered a possession yet in this quarter.
It's incredible. Wow. Clark drives it long towards full forward. Taberner ends up with the ball. The mark's paid. Fremantle could kick 3 goals with 27 disposals to Port Adelaide zip in the opening 9 minutes of the second term. That's incredible.
Fremantle behind the ball as it goes inside their 50, and from about 40 to 65 out, they're playing that part of the ground really well, and it's just giving them repeat entries. And like you said, Cara, Port haven't touched it.
Matt Taberner to drive home the advantage. He does just that. He's got a couple. Fremantle have 7. They're 7-3-45. Port Adelaide 4-2-26, 19 points. We are 10 minutes into this second term. Have some of these numbers. 27 disposals to Fremantle. Zilch, 0 naught to Port Adelaide. That is incredible. haven't registered a disposal in 10 minutes of the second term.
That's intent, really.
Yes.
It's not a skill thing, is it, Cara? That's your intent. Are you on your toes or on your heels? And, come out after the break flat.
2 tackles is all they've registered, the only stat.
They've kicked the pass for Fremantle. Bounce of the footy. Dixon wins it down to Wines. Gets a hand pass away. There it is. But it went to Darcy, who's on the deck and gives it straight back to Mundy. Now to Brodie. Dockers have it again. Hand pass to Clark. Hand pass to Brayshaw, who kicks towards Collier, who marks it right half forward. They're even going to pay that hand pass.
I don't think they have.
They haven't paid it. I swear that was a hand pass in there. Kicks inside, attacking 50. Trying to get to it was Wines defensively, and he has been paid the mark. So Wines will trot back. Kicks to the outer side of the ground. Looking to come in the direction of Brodie. Brodie hands it off to Clark. Now inside to Walker. Back to Clark, and Clark will kick long and find Schultz, who marks it right full forward. Well, I can confidently say this. They still haven't had a possession in their attacking half. They have got a couple now, Port Adelaide, in this quarter. So the ball's in the right forward pocket. It's in the hands of, I know, Ben Cameron's favourite, in Schultz. And Lockie Schultz, tight angle, comes off the outside of the right boot and kicks the goal. They kicked 5 unanswered goals now, Fremantle. 8-3-51 to Port Adelaide, 4-2-26. It's all those in purple at the moment at Perth Stadium. Remember, Port kicked the first 3 goals of the game. It's been all Fremantle since then. They're out to a 25-point advantage here on Grandstand AFL.
Well, it was really great play by young Walker. The vision just to be able to come back with the left-hand pass back inside on that angle, it really opened it up, and it's hard to defend.
Oh, it is, isn't it? And how good's Clark been already at? Another 3 inside forward 50s just for this quarter. And I reckon he had 3 or 4 in the first. So incredible start to this game by Jordan Clark.
Little bit of feedback around the ground. That was a bit interesting. And underway again.
Umpire lays it down in the middle. Finlayson wins the tap, going after it. Gray, he's able to gather. He's tackled quickly. Handball away to Burton. Port Adelaide with it at centre-half back. Chips a little kick over the top to Waymon, who stabs it short. And the mark taken by Drew. Drew will move it on short to Mead. Power at centre-half forward. He'll head towards the pocket. Pepper in good position. He outbodies Walker and marks.
It's a bit of experience there. Used his body really well.
Went early, didn't he?
He did.
Just to get the separation. And Sam Powell-Pepper had a great season. He's rated elite in terms of disposals, tackles. Playing as a medium-sized forward. Comes in from 40, starts it right, brings it back just enough. And Powell-Pepper delivers just what Port Adelaide need. They stem the bleeding with that goal. They're 5-2-32. Fremantle 8-3-51. Back to 19 points. 14 minutes into the second.
Well, they needed that one. Their first inside 50 for the quarter results in a goal. So going at 100% at the moment. So that's a positive. But again, they really need that one after Fremantle's strong start in this second quarter.
Finlayson's done a good job then about coming over the line and nullifying Rory Lobb's strength.
Ends a run of 5 unanswered goals for Fremantle. Port needed that. 6 contested marks to 3 though, the Power. And from the restart, Mead got tackled, lost it. Oh, beautifully done from Brayshaw. Picked it up, got the arms free, hand passes forward. Finlayson though back there quickly for Port. Brodie tries to dive on it. Burne-Jones scoops it up. Gave it to Gray. Strong tackle from Brayshaw. Spills back for Fremantle. Frederick into the right forward pocket. Load stretches and marks. 45-degree angle to the right. He marks 45 from goal.
He's got a nice set of hands on him, hasn't he?
Yeah, I've loved him in this role up forward. And as you can see there, Leah, he's been watching the videotapes. You're not going to leave him alone, and he goes with him. But yeah, I think it's been a great move by Justin Longmuir to get him up forward.
We couldn't find a spot for him in their best 6, or indeed their best 7 defensively. Had a good role here today. Last couple of weeks as well by the Carlton performance in defence. Lowe comes in, shoots on goal, puts it across the face. Had the carry, not quite the accuracy. Minor score for Fremantle. They're 8-4-52 and they lead Port by 20 points to a 5-2-30, 16 gone in the second.
Burton brings it in quickly. Finds Bergman. Right half back. The kick around the northern wing. Ryan sets himself, comes in from behind, spoils it down. At clean bowl Sarong. Gray's there. Gathers for Port. Handball to Burn-Jones. Handball forward to Dixon. He kicks to half forward. Georgiades marks. Has a man on inside 50. Tries to find Amon. Overshoots the target. And Wilson's there for the Dockers. Gathers. Handball to Brody. Handball to Pearce. Just gets a kick away. And Sarong's able to mark it. Off a step. He moves it into the middle. Frederick marks and plays on. Knocks over his opponent Burgoyne. Kicks to Walters at half forward. Clever handball. Oh, the bounce doesn't favour Young. Wines comes in, does well for Port. And Burgoyne's there in support.
Burgoyne kicks out to Powell Pepper, who gathers on the bounce, runs to right half forward, puts it into space. He wants Jones to run onto it in the right forward pocket. Tapped by Wilson in the direction of Pearce, who bounced into Jones, and Pearce was hurt from that. And Wilson's had a bit to say to Jones as well. Hoping to see another replay. Strong from Frederick beforehand to just push away his opponent in Burgoyne. That's the reaction as they've just seen it on the big screen. The bump from Jones on Pearce. He's okay from the restart. It comes down to Sarong. Tackled by Gray. He's onto his back. Gray appealing for a free kick. It's not being given. Ball up in the right forward pocket for Fremantle. Throwing up quickly. One down there by Lobb. Then taken by Mundy, trying to find some space, but only could find the boundary line. It's going to be spun in again, about 40 out from Freo's goal. They're kicking to the right of our broadcast position, the city end of the ground in this second term.
Umpire spins it in. Marshall doing the ruck work. Lob there with him. Boak picks it up. Handball away to Farrell. Little backhand knocks it away to Amon. The Dockers get involved and steal it through Clark. Oh, stealing it back Wines. Port across half forward. Handball from Amon away to Farrell. Usually a beautiful kick. This no exception. Wonderful finish from Farrell. And 2 on the bounce for Port. It's back to 14 points. Fremantle 8-4-52. Port 6-2-38. 18 minutes into the second.
Just really well set up. Port Adelaide at that stoppage. They had runners everywhere. They spread really nicely from the stoppage and got it on the outside, and a lovely running goal.
It was good pattern from the outside players there to keep going out and force Freo to make a decision and just split them. And geez, how good was the finish? I love seeing the left footers.
Absolutely.
Really good to watch.
Tomorrow actually marks 1 year from when he ruptured his ACL, Kane Farrell, so good to see him back out there and playing well for Port Adelaide.
Andrew Brayshaw taking a break on the bench for Fremantle as we restart again in the centre circles, and Dixon wins it down to Wines. Hand pass to Dixon. They're away now, Port. Dixon puts them inside forward 50. Decent battle. Georgiades up against Ryan. Marshall tries to tap it back inboard. Ryan got in the way. Worked it to Wilson. Spun around in a circle. Got a hand pass out. Walker couldn't take it. Boat gathers to Marshall. Goes backward for Port dangerously. In fact, turns it over. He's conceded 30 metres or so, getting back into the centre square, and Schultz was there to mark for the Dockers, and he flares it out to Darcy on the southern wing.
Darcy kicks into the middle of the ground to Fife. He'll just stop, prop, assess what's before him. Fremantle leading by 14 points, Port with the last 2 goals. Fife goes to Clark in the middle of the ground. Handball to Wilson. He'll kick long and low inside 50. Bergman gets back, drops the mark, allows in the Dockers. He gathers though. Handball away towards Mackenzie. Now Burn-Jones. He'll kick back towards the wing for Port. Jones and also Walker at the back. Wilson there to mop up. He gets a handball to Fife. Fife's tackled. Stands up in it. Gets a handball away. Clark arrives in support. Handball away to Wilson. He's tackled. And Boak carries him towards the line. Like a rolling maul in the Wallabies in England last night. And we'll get a throw in on the wing. Fremantle by 14. Brayshaw back on the ground.
Earlier today, Richmond by 35 over the Eagles and the Giants by 22 over the Hawks. From the restart, the ball tumbles back straight over the boundary line for another throw-in. We'll also, later today, in about 40 minutes, the grand final of the Super Netball will get underway. We'll keep you right across that between the Fever and the Vixens here on ABC Sport. As Dixon got it down towards Wines, moves it to right half forward. Sarong couldn't gather. Brody dives over the top. The hand pass intercepted by Powell Pepper, who Sarong tackles over the boundary line. It'll be thrown in. Right half forward for Fremantle. They were out to a lead of 25 points. That's now been cut back to 14. Throw it in. Dixon got the touch. Ball ricochets around. Comes now to Aish. Gets a clearing kick around the body. No one's able to gather. Port Adelaide have numbers, but Collier tries to work his way through. Got it onto Schultz. Oh, straight into McKenzie. A vice-like grip. Wraps him up. Schultz not getting out of there. Ball up will be the call. Still on the northern wing. Ryan off for a break. Cox returns for Fremantle. Darcy punches it forward. Fife out after it. Knocked away from him by Mead. Ace tries to work it forward. Wines got there first to Mead. Wines stretches, can't get it. Hand pass came to Burton, back to Wines. Great pressure here. Burn-Jones runs through. Boak tries to tap it to his own advantage. Instead, only found Darcy. Darcy then thumps it towards full forward. Aliir turns. He'll get to it first for Port. Chased by Logue. The hand pass awry. It went to Schultz. Hard up against the boundary. He puts it out of bounds on the full. There was a bit going on. But Port will end up with it with a free kick in the left back pocket. 8-4-52 Freo, 6-2-38 Port, 22 gone in this, the second term.
So McKenzie, kick around the boundary. Big fly from Young! He got the ride on Jones and brings it down.
Oh, give him the car. That's a beauty, fully stretched.
He kicks back inside, attacking 50 for the Dockers. Loose footy, Schultz onto it, jams it on the boot, hits the behind post. Out of bounds on the full.
There's a new pole sitter in the Mark of the Year competition. No doubt.
That's incredible.
He's in the chair and just has to wait for the rest of the year.
Oh, I'd love to measure how high the ball was from the ground where he's caught that. Even from the other side of the ground here, that was impressive.
Just make it up. 2.7 metres, I reckon, Bo.
Oh, a lot more than that.
That's a huge mark. Sensational. Darcy has marked. He didn't get off the ground at right half forward for Fremantle. Kicks inside, attacking 50. It's there for Logue. Somehow manufactures a kick. Aliir should get there first at full back. Fumbles it and bumbles it deliberately over the boundary line. That was pretty well worked. Not sure he made any real attempt to pick that up, Aliir. Was able to do well enough. That Hayden Young, goodness me. You'll be seeing some highlights of that this week. Thrown in again. Darcy got a hand on it, down to Boak. Works it back to Aliir. Kick smothered. Aish has it. Aish snaps! Aish goals! From right in front. And Freo hit back. He was almost having to wrestle his own captain for it, but for Aish to kick his second. In the end, he won that battle against Fife, who still has a broad smile on his face as they walk away. Good goal for Aish to get a number 2 for him and what is now his 4th of the season. And Freo's lead is 9-4-58 to 6-2-38. Back to a 20-point advantage, 24 gone in the second term.
It's a great smother by Aish, and then to get his own ball and kick the goal. I think they've just got reward there for a lot of pressure in that forward 50. Gets the smother and then gets the shot off goal. Really well done.
Fife did try to nick it.
Yeah, I know, he did, didn't he? Had a bit of a smile on his face when it went through.
It's quite funny.
Akash Fodadar downstairs.
Yeah, after that goal, Hayden Young going back to the backline group, all of his backline teammates getting right around him, giving him a pat on the head, and certainly a few laughs as well after that big hang.
Yeah, Freo's young gun, just keeps rising to new heights, Hayden Young, doesn't he? Back in the middle. Aish picks it up. Handball stolen by Gray. Chips it to a leading target and spots him in Ollie Wines, the reigning Brownlow medalist.
All the defenders don't want to be the one that misses out in the five-seater.
Yeah.
Wines gives it off. Away to Houston. A flying shot on goal. And it's away to the left. A minor score. Fremantle by 19 points. They're on Grandstand AFL approaching halftime.
Nathan Wilson with the kicking duties. Game 150, getting his way back into the team after an injury hit pre-season and spending some time in the waffle. Kicks long beyond defensive 50. Alir is up, can't mark. Spills down, Taberner tries to work it around. It comes out the back for Port Adelaide. Now an opportunity for Rosie to Houston. Kicks towards centre half forward to Marshall. Puts it in the right forward pocket. Stretching Clark up against Pal Pepper. Clark claims he's marked it, and he has. The officials award him the grab. Deep in the left back pocket. Steers the pass back towards Sarong between fullback and centre half back. He'll switch play out to Walker. Marking in the right back pocket for Fremantle. Moves it short back to Sarong. Sarong's been busy. That'll be disposal 9 for him now. Looks for an option. Decides to head towards the southern wing. Load strong. Got in front of McKenzie. No chance of McKenzie marking it. Might have a little bit of a jarring landing. He'll move it short to Young. Goes on a short run. Hand passes off to Brayshaw. Back to Young. Hand pass to Walker. Boat comes to him. Pops a hand pass to Clark. All run down by Marshall. Just got a hand pass away to Sarong at centre half forward. Couldn't gather. Boat could. Hand pass back to Wines. Ball still there to be won. Rosie going through. Breaks the Walker tackle. Hand pass straight into Fife. Goes again. Met there by Brayshaw. Ball hits the deck. Freo still trying to get there. Mundy with it now.
Mundy gets a handball away to Fife. Handball out towards Young. Spills towards Clark. Gives it off to Aish. Kicks into the pocket looking for Walters. A little too wide. It tumbles out. And a throw in 40 around from the Dockers attacking goal. Jordan Clark coming to the bench looking a little worse for wear.
Fife defensive efforts forward have been great. He hasn't got any tackles, but he's got, hands on the smothers and just little things in and around there. It's been terrific.
Freo leading by 19 points. Darcy takes it out of the ruck, loses it. Sarong, his kick almost pinched there by Fife, who gives it off to Mundy. High ball towards full forward. Pack forms. McKenzie can't mark. Onto the footy, Sarong. Might have been wrenched off it. Wines handball errant. It'll tumble out, the throw in. Right alongside the left hand behind post in the forward pocket for the Dockers.
Ball spun back into play. Darcy against Finlayson. Darcy won it down and couldn't gather it a second time. Jonas gathered to Boak for Port. Kick beyond defensive 50. Coming to meet it, Jones saw Mundy. Turned and was able to send it towards centre wing, but waiting there is Cox, who can mark on his chest on the logo. He'll go right back to Ryan. Furthest player back defensively for Fremantle, standing just in front of the defensive edge of the centre square. Can go short to Walker. Oh, bounced in front of his bootlaces, could gather. Got away from Rosie. Sends it up the corridor. Stretching Fife, couldn't mark. Houston was there. Has it for Porth. Gave it to Wines. Hand pass to Boak. Just got the kick away. He was tackled by Walters into the middle of the ground. Trying to win it in here is Farrell. Aishlow got it out towards Brayshaw. Hands it to Young. Back to Brayshaw by hand. Hands it to Ryan. Back again by hand to Cox. He gets a kick away to Aish. Has he been paid the mark? He has. It was low down in front of him. He has it at left half forward.
I wouldn't be walking if I'd edged that. To Aish it slips. He kicks towards full forward. Alia. Strong defensive grab for Port. Stood on his teammate McKenzie's foot as well. Came up hopping, eventually kicked short to Farrell in the right back pocket. Farrell kicks right back to the goal line. Almost goes through for an accidental minor score. McKenzie marks right on that behind line. Fremantle leading by 19 points. McKenzie really short to Jonas. Jonas will kick towards the back pocket. Mark taken by Houston. He'll kick towards the wing, and Georgiades comes up and claims it on his chest, just backward of halfway. Northern side of the ground, Fremantle by 19.
Georgiades sends it towards right half forward. No mark taken. I've got a hand on it up against Finlayson, and it spills away from both of them and then goes over the boundary line for a throw-in. Reasonable crowd in at Perth Stadium. On the ground now in shadow from the restart. Finlayson is able to gather it after the ruck tap. Kicks towards right half forward. Flying Cox. Got the fist to it. Mundy couldn't gather. Boat could. Then he was tackled and hand passed up in the air. Mundy happy to receive it. Onto Sarong. Kicks in the direction of Taberner. Couldn't mark but had time to regather. Hands it off to Ace. Sweeps it forward to Mundy. Still on centre wing. It comes to Taberner. He'll kick into the left forward pocket. Good battle here. Logue against McKenzie. McKenzie happy enough to spoil it away. Sit over the boundary line for a throw-in. About 45 out from Freo's goal. The Dockers 9-4-58. Port 6-3-39. 31 gone in the second.
Umpire spins it back in. Finlayson fists it back towards the boundary. Sarong onto it on his left boot from the pocket. Unbelievable! A fantastic finish from Freo's rising star. 10-4-64 Freo. Port 6-3-39. A 25-point advantage on his non-preferred 30 out. Hard up against the boundary line. A drop punt that goes through the eye of the needle.
Well, that was almost a set play forward stoppage to hit the big one over the top.
But it was Finlayson that hit the ball, and as the ruck in the back 50, you just don't want to give the opposition a chance, do you?
And Sarong read it really well,
he did, so you just got to keep that in close, and that'll be the message coming out. But yes, Sarong, how good was it to read it out into that space? It was almost like the Fremantle ruck.
Absolutely.
They kicked goal of the year last year from the opposite pocket. It was almost as tight. Didn't quite have to do as much in the build-up, mind you. Here he is again. Sending it inside forward 50 as the siren sounds for half-time. And Fremantle with that Sarong goal just before the siren are back out to an equal game-high lead of 25 points. 10-4-64 to Port Adelaide 6-3-39. The Dockers by 25 after scores were level at quarter time. The goal kickers for Fremantle, 2 to Lobb, 2 to Taberner, 2 to Aish. Singles to Brayshaw, Fife, Schultz and Sarong. While for Port Adelaide, a couple to Mitch Georgiades and singles to Powell-Pepper, Burton, Marshall and Farrell. 10-4-64 to 6-3-39. The Dockers, they kicked the opening 4 of that term, a run of 5 straight goals. Before Port responded with a couple, and then the Dockers got the final 2 heading into the main break. Port Adelaide staring some respects at the abyss. They know they need to win to keep alive genuine hopes of playing finals football. The Dockers at the moment taking a big step at half-time to consolidating a spot in the top 4. Huge ramifications for what happens in this game in the second half. But Fremantle, you're very happy with a 25-point lead, the major change. Let's get the thoughts of our experts on Grandstand AFL here in the West. Premiership player Beau McDonald and All-Australian Cara Antonia.
Yeah, well, Fremantle Dockers, they came out of the blocks early, didn't they, Beau? Hit the scoreboard on countless times. And for me, just looking at the stats, individually, Jordan Clark, I spoke about him in that second quarter. He's been outstanding. Had the 3 inside forward 50s that particular quarter. But if you look at the entire match, whereas he's 6 for the match. So he's the one for me that's giving the Fremantle forwards most opportunity to score, and he's getting him in nice and deep, not too shallow. But we can see now at half-time, Fremantle are now up in contested possessions. They were well and truly down in that first quarter. absolutely annihilating Port Adelaide on the outside as well. And again, that's where that run and carry from your Aishas, your Clarks, your Hayden Youngs has been so dominating for me, especially in that second quarter.
Yeah, you don't want to look at the stats as we are now. And like you just said, it's Aish, Clark, Brayshaw, Sarong, Young, Mundy and Fife.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult to get on top of the scoreboard. I've really I mentioned it in the call, that Fife's pressure up forward, he hasn't got many tackles up there, but you just notice as someone's going to get a handball off, he'll get a hand on it and keep the ball in the area. And his work rate, you can see he's not at his fittest yet. You can see he's just grinding through it, and he's just going to be better as the weeks go on. And it's good to see that himself and Mundy they both had 13 touches, and like we spoke about before the game, probably didn't really expect them to go poorly. Ollie Wines, he's working as hard as ever, and he's got Boak there coming along. Darcy Byrne-Jones has been okay, but they've just been under the pump that quarter. There's no time and space to use the ball, and I suppose what you've got to do then is, if you're going to go long down the line, even then the forward ball method, they're outnumbered of where they're going down the line, and Freo would just get the ball back and go to the corridor, getting it over the other side of the ground, and that's why you're seeing your Clarks and Youngs and these blokes getting the handball receives, linking up and really controlling the game. So, look, I think Port, they need to run a little bit harder. I know it sounds really basic, but they're just looking that little bit one or second too slow to get to the contests, and I suppose you always look like that when you're behind. So it's going to need a big turnaround from Port. Like Clint said, they're staring into the abyss. It's finals or die today. So I'll be really keen to see what this first 5 minutes is like. A bit like what the first quarter was like. You could see that they knew what was on the line, and then they almost forgot about it, or as the game went on. So I've no doubt though Ken Hinkley will be stirring them up in there. But whether they can sustain it, that'll be the question.
Well, for me, just looking at the stats, Fremantle going 1-to-1 kick to handball ratio. So there's definitely an opportunity there for Port to come out in this second half and be able to chop that off. If you can pressure, and Fremantle have at times, we've already seen, overuse the handball, and it's a silly little mistake or a decision that has gone wrong that Port have been able to pounce on. So they're in this game. They just probably need to come out and start the third how they started the game. Really high energy, high intent, high pressure, because you can tell when you put Fremantle, when you put any team under pressure, you can turn over the ball quite easily. So again, like you just said, Bo, it's about whether or not they can do that consistently in this second half and hit the scoreboard when they need to. I mean, the likes of, that Charlie Dixon, Alex Pearce matchup has been one for me that I've been watching. Dixon's only had the 3, Pearce has had the 5 and a couple of marks. So, if you're a Port Adelaide fan and in the coaching box right now, you're probably thinking your big man needs to stand up a little bit.
He does. Those 3, I reckon 2 of those 3 touches were when he was in the ruck.
Yep.
And I think what you see there is when you play forward, and you have to have a really high work rate playing forward. I know the ball's coming to you, but you've got to run a lot, and then got to go in the ruck and compete in there.
Yep.
It's you're using up all your petrol tickets, and it's very difficult. And Charlie Dixon, he looks good when he's aggressive and second effort, bowling people over and just really ripping in, and saw that for probably a couple of minutes in the ruck today, but not up forward. So they're doing a great job back there, and the more you watch Fremantle's back 6, they're just really impressive, and no doubt pushing for one of the best back 6 in the comp.
Oh, they're a well-oiled machine, aren't they?
They are.
And when you got Griffin, when you can afford to, I rate Griffin Logue, to be honest, as a backliner, but when you can afford to put him forward, and he's played a pivotal role already. He's taken a couple of marks, and he's been able to, contest and pressure in the forward half of the ground. It's JL is sitting back licking his lips probably because it makes selection hard, but it also makes the 22 that pull on the jumper every week hungry as ever to keep and hold their spot.
It's a back 6 also without Heath Chapman too, who will be walking into that back 6 for Fremantle were he available. Dockers 10-4-64 to Port Adelaide 6-3-39. It is half time. You can tell that the rugby league boys have been in this box more recently than anywhere else. There was graffiti on the desk, shame on them. And anyone who's ever listened to our rugby league coverage would know that Andrew Moore has no end of trouble by getting the text message line working. I finally got it working again. It's uncanny how that happens, but I've got the text message line up. So if you do want to send us a text, we're now able to read them out. 0437 774 774, if you're wondering why I wasn't saying the number in the first half. 0437 774 774. And speaking of that, can you say hi to Ben McArdle from KL? G'day, Ben. Love Pal Pepper. He's been pretty good already with a goal today for Port Adelaide and certainly can make his presence felt. Port will need more of that in the second half. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, please feel free to do so wherever you happen to be around the country, or indeed, as we know, around the world. 0437 774 774. That is the number, 0437 774 774. The Super Netball final not too far away from getting underway. We'll keep you updated with that as well. The Melbourne Vixers travelling across to take on the West Coast Fever. So as soon as that gets underway, we'll continue to bring you those scores. But now, with scores very much in favour of the home side, the Fremantle Dockers, they're up by 25 points at half-time. Let's pause from here at Perth Stadium and take the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. Greater Sydney residents are being warned to stay on high alert as severe weather continues across the New South Wales coast. Helena Burke has the details.
More than 16 flood evacuation orders have now been issued across Greater Sydney, the majority in areas around the Hawkesbury and Nepean rivers. The Warragamba Dam storage is now spilling at double the rate it was this morning and rising. The Hawkesbury River is also a concern, with the Bureau of Meteorology warning that flood levels at the North Richmond section of the river may exceed the peaks of earlier this year. The Bureau says heavy rainfall and high winds are expected to continue throughout Greater Sydney until Tuesday.
A man has died after drowning in Parramatta River amid severe weather conditions in Greater Sydney. Emergency services were called to the river at Abbotsford at about 2:45 this afternoon. The man was believed to be kayaking before he went into the water. He died at the scene. Foreign visitors arriving in Australia will no longer need to declare their COVID-19 vaccination status from the middle of the week. Currently, foreign arrivals have to either be fully vaccinated or apply for a travel exemption. The Federal Health Minister, Mark Butler, says from Wednesday, travellers will no longer be asked if they're vaccinated or not. Victorian Government Minister Ben Carroll says the death of MP Jane Garrett is devastating for her colleagues and family. Ms Garrett died yesterday from cancer at the age of 49. She was first elected to Victorian Parliament in 2010 and was set to retire at the next state election in November. Mr Carroll says she always put others first and his thoughts are with her loved ones.
Jane was one of a kind. She lit up the room, every room she went into. She was vivacious, she was caring, she was spirited, but underneath that too was a fierce determination to better the outcomes for working people, particularly women.
Argentina's economy minister has resigned as its government grapples with a mounting economic crisis with inflation soaring above 60%. Martin Guzman's resignation leaves the ministry leaderless just as he was expected to travel to Europe to negotiate a debt deal of almost $3 billion. Some analysts are warning that inflation could hit 80% in Argentina by the end of the year. Police in Nigeria have rescued 77 people from a church who said they were waiting for the second coming of Jesus. The BBC's Isaac Khalid has the story.
A police spokesperson told the BBC the church had been raided after a mother complained to the police that her children were missing and that she suspected they were in there. The Nigerian authorities say the victims, children and adults, had been invited to the church by clerics who told them that the second coming of Jesus was expected in April. Some of the children left their schools to witness the event, believing the world was coming to an end. But when nothing came to pass, they were told Jesus was not now expected until September. The pastor of the church and his deputy have been arrested.
Health authorities have confirmed a second case of diphtheria of the throat in northern New South Wales. An unvaccinated toddler from the Tweed is in intensive care in a Queensland hospital after contracting the rare infection, and now a 6-year-old close family contact has also been confirmed with the same strain. New South Wales Health says they're the first cases of throat diphtheria since the 1990s, and Dr Paul Douglas from the North Coast Public Health Unit says the infection's preventable and both children were unvaccinated.
The child was not immunised and had the classic features of what you'd see with diphtheria, which is most typically they've got a greyish-green exudate at the back of their throat on their tonsils, and with a fever and a sore throat for a few days before, that made it a likely cause.
Brisbane-based apprentice jockey Leah Kilner has been seriously injured after falling from her horse during a race at Grafton in the Northern Rivers region of New South Wales today. More from Rebecca Hyam.
Kilner was riding the Owen Glue-trained horse Stella's Turn in race 3 at the Grafton track when the horse fell, dislodging the jockey from her mount in the home straight. Racing New South Wales says Kilner was flown to Brisbane's Princess Alexandra Hospital and was lapsing in and out of consciousness. The remaining 6 races on the program were postponed as a result of the incident. Kilner's Brisbane-based boss, trainer Rob Heathcote, has told the ABC the jockey's mother accompanied her to hospital. A spokesperson for the Princess Alexandra Hospital says Kilner is currently being assessed in the emergency department.
ABC News. Get more news from our website at abc.net.au/news.
We're celebrating NAIDOC Week across the ABC.
Time to celebrate our mob.
Sharing stories from the world's oldest continuous culture. NAIDOC Week and every week.
Terrific.
Across ABC Radio, ABC Listen, ABC iView and ABC TV. With shows like Mystery Road Origin, Ablaze, Looking Black and loads more.
Yeah, I belong.
NAIDOC Week, all this week.
Celebrating NAIDOC on ABC.
Find out more at abc.net.au.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season. Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Made to work for it against Georgiades. The kicks to Sarong, who marks. Still at right half forward. 2 kicks from goal. He'll pop it inside forward. 55 up and marking. Nat Fyfe, ball in hand. The captain for Fremantle sends this on its way. The Purple Army will tell you what that meant to them and indeed to their captain.
Handball to Frederick, left foot kick towards Taberner. He can't take the mark, over the back it goes. Logue's there to mop it up. Handball to Brayshaw, 15 out, snaps on goal. 2 in a minute for Freo. Ford across half forward, handball from Amon away to Farrell. Usually a beautiful kick, this no exception. Wonderful finish from Farrell. And 2 on the bounce for Port. So McKenzie, kick around the boundary. Big fly from Young. He got the ride on Jones and brings it down.
Darcy got a hand on it, down to Boak. Works it back to a lead. Kick smothered. Ace has it. Ace snaps! Ace goals from right in front. And Freo hit back.
Umpire spins it back in. Finlayson fists it back towards the boundary. Sarong onto it. On his left boot. From the pocket. Unbelievable. A fantastic finish from Freo's rising star.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Good to have you with us here at Perth Stadium. If you've just joined us, Fremantle lead Port Adelaide by a handy 25 points. The Dockers are back out on the ground. Port just returning as we speak. 10-4-64 to Fremantle, 6-3-39 to Port. There were a couple of other games earlier today. The Giants by 22 points over Hawthorn, and perhaps most tellingly in terms of the latter, Richmond by 35 over West Coast. The Tigers up into 7th after that performance. Fremantle looking to consolidate a top 4 spot. Port trying to stay alive in the race for the finals with today's results. Ben Cameron's got all the numbers in front of him. The one that matters most sees Fremantle leading by 25. What else have you got for us, Ben?
They've had a lot more of the ball, Clint. 190 disposals to 131. Contested possessions relatively even. Port +2. The clearances overall, as it stands at the moment in this fixture, 26-14 the way of Fremantle. Inside 50s, Fremantle lead 31-21. And the tackles 27-23. Leading ball winners on the ground, Ollie Wines with 23. He leads James Aish and Geordie Clark with 22 for the Dockers.
Reports coming through from the News Corp newspapers in regards to the Giants' top job. James Hird ruling himself out of contention for the senior coaching job. We know Mark McVeigh has put his hand up. I have to say he's not doing a bad job in pressing his case. Another win today for GWS. And if you have a look through since he took over, they're now 3-3. Big win over West Coast immediately after taking over, of course, from Leon Cameron. He went down to Brisbane at the Gabba, lost to the Bulldogs and lost to Collingwood. But wins that you would expect at least have gone in his way. Wins for West Coast over North Melbourne and over Hawthorn. Rugby League, to bring you up to date with, the Warriors have beaten the Tigers 22 points to 2, and St George Illawarra have got up over the Raiders 12 points to 10 to the Dragons over Canberra. 10-4-64 to 6-3-39 here. The Dockers over Port Adelaide. Can Port start this half like they began the first, Cara Antonio? Because that's the sort of beginning that they really need. You would imagine if Freo are able to get hold of this game in this quarter, they're no chance of coming back, Port, but they're a solid side in this third quarter.
Well, you can imagine that was the messaging at half-time from Ken and the coaching group, that they need to start this second half like they started the first. They came out of the blocks raring to go. Their pressure was high. They were able to hit the scoreboard. They used quick, controlled ball movement and were able to get Freo on the bounce. So, again, if they can come out quick and hit the scoreboard in these early minutes, anything's possible. For me, though, Fremantle, I think the game's about to be blown open if they can get on top early in this third quarter.
Yeah, look, Fremantle, we're seeing their DNA once again today. Their team defence is outstanding, and unless you're a super skillful side that you can pick through that, they're going to be hard to beat. You can't just, and their pressure is high enough to turn that ball over so much. So you mentioned it there, Cara, the ball use and the finding a way through the middle of that ground. It's going to have to be fast, but it's going to have to be accurate because Fremantle just seem to outnumber Port at the moment everywhere the ball goes. And the only way you're going to get them on the back foot is by using the ball quick and fast and getting those deep entries and trying to play it in your half. So it'll be very interesting to see.
Ollie Wines requiring a bit more support from some of the blokes around him. He's been tremendous.
Yeah, look, he's been flying the flag in there, and it's very difficult when you're playing against the midfield where everyone else is contributing. You can feel like you're running around in circles a little bit, but he's playing like the Brownlow medalist he is. And just the more I watch Young down back there, that mark was terrific. But just it's more the way he plays the game. He's such a young bloke. Tactically, he sees the game really well.
If you like cycling, you'll know that when they have the time trials, whoever's in front actually has to sit in the chair and wait. They're the pole position. As far as I'm concerned, Hayden Young, he's sitting in the chair now for the rest of the year. That was as good as you're going to see. It will take something truly special to outpoint that as mark of the year. Fremantle against Port, the Dockers by 25. Let's get the second half underway. Here's Ben Cameron.
Darcy and Finlayson in the ruck. They both go up. Darcy wins it down to Brayshaw. He quickly snaps the Dockers to half forward. Bouncing ball. Burgoyne and Walters there. Burgoyne picks it up. Just gets a handball away to Burne-Jones for Port. Handball into the middle looking for Rosie. Stolen by Frederick. Handball to Darcy. Handball to Brody. Attacking edge of the square for the Dockers. Chip short. Lob on the lead. He marks.
We spoke about it just before that's inaccurate handball. Yep. And it's going to cost you. The only way you're going to get through this team is with some accuracy, and that was a poor handball into the corridor turnover.
He's already got a couple. Rory Lobb, he should have 3. Mr. Sitter in the second term. This will be from 50. Sends it on goal. It'll go right to the line. And a dream start to the second half for the Purple. Rory's third. 11-4-70 plays 6-3-39. They're out by 31. 1 minute travelled into the third term.
I'm not sure what you say if you can Hinkley, because that handball hits its target and they're out. So you want to keep encouraging, like we said, the ball movement. That's how you're going to get Freo. But just when you miss it, it's super costly. And how's the spread from Freo today? As soon as they do get a turnover, you look, they're all just gone.
Well, it is. It's the hunt in numbers. They hunt in attack, but they also spread and get out quickly on the outside. It's been very impressive today.
Game high lead for Fremantle now.
Burne-Jones, a guilty party, scores from turnovers. Freo now kicks 7 goals to Port 4 goals. From the bounce, not a great one. Darcy just stood there and then punched it forward, but Wines will gather off the deck for Port. To Finlayson by hand, to Drew. Goes back again to Eamon. will kick towards left half forward. Ryan goes up against Georgiades, and it's a good mark. He got some rise, the knee to the back of the Port player. It's moved short here, and Hughes has it. Lances across half back. There's nothing doing there. He'll probably come down the line. He will. He kicks towards right half forward. 2-on-2 battle. Darcy got a hand to it. Bounced back to him as well. Broke the Burgoyne tackle. The hand pass through David Mundy. Didn't expect that. Brayshaw runs down Drew. Ball spilled out to Clark for the Dockers. To Hughes on the logo. Commentary wing comes back again. To Ryan. To Brayshaw. And it goes back once more to Cox. And Cox will kick towards left half forward, and Frederick is there to mark.
Frederick's able to claim it. Between wing and left half forward for Freo. Looks inside 50, goes long towards the pocket. Going up lob, gathers on the bounce, snaps towards goal, bouncing ball. It'll tumble across the face. We'll get a throw in, right forward pocket for the Dockers. They lead by 31 early in the third.
Disappointing we haven't seen the Frederick brothers play against each other today. Was he omitted or injured?
Omitted.
Yeah, it was in the squad originally, but didn't make the final cut, unfortunately, Martin Frederick. The Twins.
Throw in deep in the forward 50 for the Dockers. Ripping it down to the back. Darcy snapping on goal. Walters. He got the leg break when he needed the wrong end. Just the wrong side of the post on the bounce. 32 points. Fremantle's advantage. 3.5 into the second half on Grandstand AFL.
Haven't seen them play each other yet. Two Frederick players. Michael and Martin. Burne-Jones, hand passes to Burton, who had the kick in originally, comes to Jonas, out towards Marshall, who couldn't mark, spills away. Can he keep it in? Just taps it along the boundary side, hand pass inboard, got it to Drew, racing through here, Rosie to Boak, sweeping the hand pass forward to Gray in the right forward pocket. Great smother Walker, but it bounces back to Gray. Hand passes inboard again, scooped up by Powell Pepper to Marshall. Hand pass to Bergman, couldn't take it cleanly. Boak picks it up inside their forward 50 still, comes back again to Wines, tackled by Frederick. Got a hand pass out, but only as far as Brayshaw. Kicks beyond his defensive 50. Frederick gathers, has options, elects to go long. Will head towards Walters at left half forward. Walters lets it bounce. Burgoyne up against him. Burgoyne wins it down. The debutante's done well. And then he fires a pass down low that's marked in front of the knees. Well done to Bergman. They'll pause for a moment here. Port on the southern wing.
Bergman moves it really short to Burne-Jones, who kicks low around the boundary line onto the chest of Boak. Port Adelaide now forward of the wing. Boak will go long towards full forward, looking for Dixon. Cox is there, down at ground level. Powell Pepper swoops onto it. He's tackled by Darcy. Just gets a handball away. Or he doesn't, in fact, he takes too long. He's caught holding the ball by the big Darcy. So Darcy in the left back pocket for the Dockers. He'll kick long towards the wing. No one there in purple. Burne-Jones drops it. 5 sockers out to his own advantage. Can't quite gather on the wing. Arriving Bergman worries him out of it, and Burne-Jones can come in and pick it up.
Kicks towards right half forward. Marked there by Georgiades. He's beyond the boundary as he takes his kick. Puts it back inside forward 50. Mundy waits and marks. Good mark too. Question coming in from Cam the Truckie in Melbourne about Mundy. Puts it right up the corridor. Frederick was up, couldn't mark it against Burne-Jones. Spills down to Rosie for Port. Sends it back inside forward 50. That's a beautiful kick. Gray marks. Hands it on to Boak. Boak will run into goal and he'll kick a major for Port Adelaide. They desperately needed that, the power. 7-3-45 now, Port. Freo remain 11-5-71. 6 and a bit gone in the third term. And Fremantle's lead back to just 26 points.
Well, I love Rosie there, being able to drive his legs out of that contest and break through, and the leg on it to hit up the Port forward. Incredible. They need more of that. They need turnover, especially in that forward half of the ground for them, and to be able to hit the scoreboard. So it's a good start.
Yeah. Question on the SMS from Cam the Truckie. Sorry, Bo. Mundy's a champion for Fremantle. Do you think he'll go around another year?
Yeah.
I think so too.
I think so.
I'm a no.
You're a no?
I think the game, I don't think he's been getting where he needs to go the last few weeks, and the turnovers last week worried me. Brody out of the middle on the tap from Darcy. Kicks towards half forward, picking it up Frederick. He'll kick towards the pocket. Aaliyah drops the mark, allows in Taberner. Now 5, handball to Lob, waltzes in, whacks it through. Immediate response from Fremantle. Lob's fourth. 12-5, 77 to 7-3-45. Freo by 32 again. 7 minutes into the third.
Again, just Darcy. Beautiful off tap. It's a good skill to be able to have as a ruckman, to come in and be able to off tap it to the different lane. And with that new 6-6-6 rule, or it's not new anymore, it's been around for a few years, it's just so crucial if you're able to get a clean hit out like that. It can turn into a shot on goal very easily.
So I'm a yes for Mundy. You're a yes.
I'm a yes. I think he's still producing.
I'm with Cara. She's a docker. She'd know more than I would.
I'd like him to go around again.
You're just a party pooper.
I was grimacing last week, Cara. He's a friend of ours, works with us.
Free kick taken in the middle here. It's going to go the Dockers' way.
It just should have been advantage there.
Yeah, Sarong was away and he wanted it too.
It was a brilliant hit out from Darcy.
So Darcy sends it inside forward 50 once more. Taberner's up, couldn't mark. Has a second go at it. Got a hand pass back to Brayshaw from 49 out. Sends it towards right full forward. Lob had 2 goes at it. Did he get a little nudge? I reckon the free kick is coming the way of Lob. Here it is. Arms chopped according to the official. It's going to be a tight angle. He'll be starting less than a metre from the boundary, or in fact actually on the boundary at right full forward. Could he kick his 5th?
Looks like he's going to left foot around the corner. Or he's going the banana.
He's going to go the set snap. That's 5 goals for Rory Lobb. From the tightest of angles at right full forward, Freo have got their 13th. 13-5-83, put Adelaide 7-3-45, and we've travelled 9 minutes into the third term, and that lead again stretches out to a game high now, 38 points.
Well, just when you thought Port Adelaide had kicked one down the other end, Freo go bang, bang. Another couple from the Dockers might put this one to bed. I feel like Port Adelaide, have they got the run to run out this game? It's questionable at the moment.
I'm not sure what they do in the middle here either. Like, the wings can try and get in, but they're getting stuck in no man's land as well, and it's just leaking.
Umpire Howarth lays it down. Darcy taps it towards Brayshaw. Sarong throws it out, I reckon. Yeah, it was called a throw. Port try to take the advantage. Walker intercepts it momentarily. Bergman eventually a handball away. Sarong bundles over Dixon. Mismatch in the weight classes there.
So that's when it should have been brought back, because it wasn't an advantage to Port Adelaide.
Darcy slaps it to the outside. Boak after the footy. Sarong there with him. Boak stronger, claims it. High spiral inside 50 for Port. Geordie Clark, a good mark. 47 out from the defensive goal for the Dockers. He'll kick short to Ryan, game 100. I mentioned the 2016 draft. Logue, Darcy, Cox and Ryan for Fremantle in that draft. It was a good one. If you're a fan of the purple, Ryan kicks towards the wing. Dixon and Darcy are holding free kick. It'll go to Dixon. Darcy lets Ryan know what he thinks of that kick. On the logo, Big Charlie will have it.
It slips over as he gets the kick away. Ended on his backside. We heard from downstairs earlier, it is slippery on this northern wing. It's where the interchange was for the rugby. Ball's worked itself inside forward 50 here for Port. Taken then by Clark, who's tackled the ground. Ball up the call. Finlayson wrapping him up. 45 out from Port's goal. Thrown up into the air. Marshall does the ruck work. Straight down to Walker. Not a great kick. Went to Brody though. Pearce. Oh, he's kicked straight down the throat of Bergman, who throws it on the boot and kicks towards goal and sees it bounce through. Well, luck is a fortune. You just wouldn't have been expecting that at all, but Port, they've been able to respond. And they keep this contest alive. 11 and a bit minutes into the third term. 8-3-51 Port Adelaide. 13-5-83 the Dockers on Grandstand AFL.
Bit casual there, Cox, wasn't it?
The goal line effort. I thought, it
bounced
was.
inside the field.
It did. Should have thrown himself at it.
Yep.
Lacked a little bit of desperation.
Way too casual.
Did he lose it, Brendan Cox? I saw it go over his head. Did he just lose it?
He mustn't have been able to pick it back up when he turned his head back.
I think you're being kind.
I was just trying to think more.
It's easy from up here.
I say that because in his defence, we have seen him throwing himself at the football before.
Yeah, it was just like he misjudged it, perhaps.
Yeah. So did Pearce with a little hand pass too. Straight down Bergman's throat.
Out of the middle, Dixon gathers, gets a handball away. After it, though, Lobb, who's in the ruck for the Dockers, he picks it up. Handball to Waish, back feeds a handball to Wilson. Tucks it under the arm, draws a man, lobs it away to Walker, who runs to the attacking edge of the square. Long to Taberner, through his hands. Out the back it goes. Frederick Sockers misses. Behind. Electric build-up from Fremantle. Not the result. 33 points the advantage.
Port have it at right half back. The mulleted Jones. Lockie Jones. 16 in the 20 AFL draft for Port. Kicks towards right half forward and Pearce takes the mark. Marshall looked to be hurt in that contest for a moment. He's sort of crouching, bent over for a second. The Dockers move it to Aish, who marks just shy of the southern wing. 11 minutes to go in the first quarter in the Super Netball Grand Final. Scores are 3-3. 3 goals apiece between the Vixens and, of course, the home team, the Fever, as Sprio into the left forward pocket. Taberner couldn't mark against the Lear. Ball hits the deck. Jonas picks it up. Short hand pass is taken then by Burgoyne over the boundary line for what will be another throw-in deep in the left forward pocket. Graham is summing up what my life is like on a Saturday night when I'm at home. He says, loving the call, I'm listening, well, with 2 TVs on at the same time, side by side. The footy's on one, Bluey's on the other. It's got to be done. I understand that, Graham. Tap one down to Schultz, kicks towards full forward. McKenzie's on hands and knees. He's able to trap the football and gives it back to Aliir. Aliir for Port beyond defensive 50 towards right half back. Off hands. Amon gets a kick away into space on the southern wing.
Tumbling ball going after it. Marshall and Pearce, they both go to deck. Jones comes through, paddles to his own advantage, gathers. Marshall tries to hack it out of the air. It just trickles to Walker, who has time. Kicks the Dockers back to the wing. Dixon unopposed, takes the mark. Ambles to the logo, kicks a flower bag to half forward. Culpepper's able to juggle it. Mark. Port 60 out, he goes into the pocket. Over the head of Georgiades, it goes to the back. Meads there, he gathers in the pocket and just carries it out. And the umpire says, throw it in. Akash Fodder.
Yeah, Marshall's constantly touching the outside of his right knee, and the physio and the trainer did run out to him early. He brushed them off, but he definitely doesn't look comfortable.
Umpire spins it in. Marshall slaps it down. Eventually, Sarong gathers, snaps quickly. It lands on the chest of Walters. Working high up the ground, the Freo small forward. They lead by 33.
Walters to Schultz. Marks right up against the boundary at left half back. Lights are on now at Perth Stadium. The whole ground in shade. It's towards the outer side of the ground. Taken then by Jonas. Hurry kick forward. Spills around. And then comes back to Rosie. Hand pass to Farrell. Runs across the logo. High and long. Into the right forward pocket. Cox brought it to ground. Couldn't mark it though. Umpire says it's a holding decision. It's going the way of Cox against Marshall. It was the non-controlling umpire actually made the first signal. So Cox takes the free kick, goes back to Ryan at full back, and he'll move it out into the right back pocket to Pearce, who marks. The Dockers 13-6-84. Port 8-3-51. 16 gone in the third. Hughes looks to try and find Collier. The kick dropped a little short. Collier sliding out. The ball spills away from him and over the boundary line for a throw-in.
Both teams bring the interchanges. Fremantle are perfect 9-0 when they lead at three-quarter time this year. Trying to do that again here. Walker picks it up. He's tackled quickly. They lead by 33 points midway through this third term. You would think they should be leading at three-quarter time here. Lobb brings it down. Wines gets it away to Gray. Gray snaps Port towards full forward. Georgiades is down there. Can't take the mark. Roves at ground level. Walker meets him strongly. Drags him down. Ball jars free. Coming in, Wilson's tackled heavily and taken to deck, and will get a ball up. Left forward pocket for Port. Freo by 33, 17 gone, third term.
Lob wins it down for Fremantle. Now comes out to Hughes, to Brayshaw, beyond defensive 50, to shoot 2 marks. He's got it at right half back. Fever now have a 2-goal break on the Vixens. 7 minutes to play in the first quarter of the Super Netball Grand Final. The kick is towards right half forward. Taberner got a touch on it. Goes back towards the boundary line. It's going to be deliberate against Dixon. Or should I say insufficient intent, as is the correct law now. Logue plays on by a hand to Brodie. High towards right full forward. Flying was Frederick. Spoiled over the boundary line by Port, though. They're happy to see it out for a neutral ball. Still Fremantle lead. 18 gone in the third term. 13-6-84 to Port Adelaide. 8-3-51. Clint Wilden alongside Ben Cameron in commentary. Cara Antonio and Bo McDonald, our experts.
Darcy and Dixon lock up. Darcy slaps it down. Sarong from the pocket. Snaps towards goal. Houston on the line. Avoids a problem for Port. Fists it through. Back to 33 points. Out to 34 rather. 18 and a half minutes into the third term.
Houston has the glove on, as we often see. Kicks towards the outer side. Wilson attacks the football. Punches it back towards centre half forward. Frederick couldn't gather. Boat could for Port. To Burgoyne. Short pass to Farrell. Has bright yellow boots on today. They stand out in the shadows here at Perth Stadium. Kicks towards the outer side. Marshall up against Ryan. Ryan was behind Marshall. He's been able to complete the mark, though. Hands it off to a fellow Docker in Clark. And Clark will switch play, going back inside his defensive 50 to Walker, who then steers it out to Hughes at right half back. He'll come down the line to lob. Markey on centre wing. Freo's lead 34 points, 19 gone in the third.
Lob goes long towards Walters and Logue. Might have come off the boot, out of bounds on the full. It did. Akash Frodadar.
Port Adelaide have made their sub. Motlop is about to come on the ground. Lockie Jones is out. It looks like a right hamstring injury.
Yeah, ice on the hamstring for Lockie Jones. So NAB Rising Star last week. Out of the game this week. Chocolate to boiled lollies as Port work it around inside their D50. Burgoyne goes short to Boak. Boak chips it short to Gray. Put Adelaide on their defensive arc. Gives it off to Mackenzie. Under pressure, eventually gets a handball away. Now through the middle goes Burton. Back to Jonas. Fremantle bringing the heat. Mackenzie kicks up the middle and eventually a turnover. Nash brings it to ground. Reiner comes up with it. Gives it off to Clark. Thumps it long. Frederick's out the back. Gets the body on. Jonas gets back. Spoils it down. Gray there to help out. Off to Burn Jones and a kick to Burgoyne in the back pocket.
The debutant, son of Peter, premiership player with Port, nephew of Sean, premiership with Port and 3 with Hawthorn. Beyond defensive 50 now towards right half back. Finlayson was at the back of about 5. He thumps it over the boundary line, putting the fist through the football. Throwing it right half back for Port. The lead is 34 in favour of the purple against the power. Darcy worked his opponent Finlayson out from the ruck contest, took clean possession, gave it to Walters, high up into the air inside the attacking 50. No mark taken after the punch, then came down from Jonas. It came towards Frederick. Frederick's taken high here by Boat. Walters goes in to have his say as well, so there's a little bit of push and shove after that. Houston involved too. And Burn Jones there. The ball eventually returned to Frederick. So it was on the full or immediately either. So Michael Frederick from deep in the left forward pocket.
Just as he slipped over there, I think it was Burn Jones just
Come over the top.
Came over the top of his shoulder. Not a lot in it, but you've got to pay those ones.
Take the one from Houston too as he stuck
well,
the end out.
that's exactly right.
You could take a pick from a couple there. Michael Frederick steers it through from about 2 metres in from the boundary in the left forward pocket and 40 metres out. His 16th of the year. That's a telling blow. It puts the lead to 40 points. 14-7-91, Port 8-3-51, 22 and a bit gone in the third term on Grandstand AFL from Perth Stadium. The Dockers now have complete control, and in the Super Netball Grand Final, 3 and a bit minutes to play in the first quarter. The Fever are out to a 3-goal lead. They lead the Melbourne Vixens 12-9.
Yeah, sorry, you were right, Clint. It was Houston with the one over the top, and I think Boat copped him earlier. So,
well, if you missed the first, you could have got the other one.
Burn Jones, apologies. He was nowhere near the ball. He just stood them up. He's been lively this quarter, Frederick, hasn't he? Working high up the ground and getting back towards goal.
Yes, he has been. It's a gives him that little bit of speed.
He was quiet last week, goalless and only 9 disposals. Darcy down to Sarong from the restart. Handball to Brodie, kick to the wing for Hughes. Tries to gather on the bounce, a couple of fumbles. Picks it up, he's tackled by Pau Pepper. Somehow gets a kick away, and Brodie onto it. Handball for Sarong, errant. Chopped off by Gray. Now Port back the other way. Pau Pepper loops a handball that releases Gray. Kick short to Finlayson, and he's paid the mark. 55 metres out, close to the boundary. He'll stab it into space in the pocket. Georgiades gathers on the bounce. Handball to Gray. Handball away towards Motlop. The sub into the game and onto the ground. Eventually it comes back to Gray. Ricochets back to him. Off to Rosie. Dribbles it through. Port come again. It's back to 34 points. 14-7-91, plays 9-3-57, 24 gone in the third.
Well, I just counted the Fremantle plays inside forward 50. They had 12-7, and Port Adelaide were able to score with a massive outnumber. You wouldn't be happy sitting in the box if you were JL. That was just a bit lazy almost, wasn't it, Bo?
Yeah, it sort of was. It wasn't pretty by Port Adelaide, but they were just able to get a couple of quick flick hands off, and like you said, there's a sea of purple back there.
Just made something out of really nothing.
Yep. It's certainly been hard for them to score this quarter, Port, and they'll take what they can get, but you made the point, there was all the purple back there. They've been running so hard to get back into that 50, but then also represent forward again.
One down by Finlayson, socket forward by Drew, but only as far as Brodie. And a kick away. Mark, though, just shy of the logo by Houston for Port, and that's a lovely kick to find Wines, uncontested, plays on by hand at left half forward to Rosie, meant to try to get a hand pass through, knocked down by Brodie. It comes to Collier, runs into the centre square, will look to switch play to the southern wing, lobs there, has Hughes right with him, hands it off, Hughes sends it over the boundary line on the bounce, like he was trying to find touch last night. It's about 45 out from Fremantle's goal. He was looking for Walters, couldn't find him. Bit of frustration for Michael. Just glances in the direction from where the ball would come. Spun back into play again. The Rucks go at it. Darcy got the hand to it. Knocked it behind himself. Fife tries to gather. Can't do so. Drew picked it up. Burton off. Strong tackle. Coming the other way. Schultz wrapped up Burton. Port can work it away though. Only as far as left half forward for Fremantle. Brodie to Hughes to Clark once more. He'll play it by hand to Hughes. Oh, steps inside Boat. Sold him some candy. And then kicks towards left full forward. 5! Plays on. And then trying to soccer it forward was Tabbert. A 5-hand pass along the ground. Must have thought he hadn't taken the mark in that contest. Surely that's what happened. We'll look to see the replay. 5 flew, got hands to it, had 2 goes. Just dropped it. He's back to us as he hit the deck. That's why he played on. Freo couldn't convert. Here's a chance, though. Darcy takes clean possession from the throw-in, misses to the left-hand side. A minor score, 14-8-92. That's Freo. 9-8-57 Port, 26 gone in the third. And with 30 seconds to play in the first quarter in the Super Netball Grand Final, the Fever lead by 4 goals over the Vixens, 17-13.
McKenzie to bring it in, short to the pocket to Burgoyne. Fremantle by 35 points. Burgoyne chips it short. And to Burton. Burton will switch it all the way to the right back pocket. Dodgy kick. It bounces in front of Burne-Jones. Has time to gather. Now sends it to the wing. Amon sliding in. Can't complete the mark. Right there with him is Hughes. Drags it under. Umpire circles holding the ball. Hughes pinged. Carl Amon able to get him. So Port Adelaide with it at halfback. Amon trying to switch it. It just finds Rosie. He'll turn and kick towards the wing off a step. Almost turns it over. Collier, in fact, able to force it to ground. Mead picks it up for Port. He'll backfeed a handball all the way back to Burton, who has it at halfback for Port.
He finds Bergman, who takes an uncontested mark on centre wing. Commentary side. Motlop runs behind him. That opportunity for the short hand pass is ignored. Bergman told to move it on. He goes on a run to the logo. Sends it inside attacking 50. Cox, strong grab up against Georgiades. Took 2 bites at it. Was able to complete it as he fell to ground. He's up for Fremantle. Looks to move it beyond defensive 50 to right half back. It's a nice pass. Marked by Aish. Aish with a couple of goals today. Short to Brodie. One of the recruits of the season. There's a few of them, but he's right in that conversation. Brodie thought about going laterally, decides instead to put it towards right half forward. 2-on-2 battle, low front position, went up, couldn't mark, spilled down to Fife, the skipper in the front position for the Dockers. Hands it inboard to Walker, met solidly straight away by Mead. Ball jarred free, Aish got a short hand pass back to Fife on the logo, northern wing. Pal Pepper got him, and that'll be holding the ball. Pal Pepper has it for Port Adelaide. Still Freo's lead, 35 points, 29 gone in the third.
Pal Pepper kicks long towards half forward. Young! Going back with the flight, he takes the chest mark. Not as spectacular as his earlier mark, but very brave and skillful all at once. He now kicks it short to Pearce for the purple in the back pocket. Freo by 35. Pearce runs himself into a cul-de-sac, eventually retreats and kicks short to Cox. Cox now a little bereft. He'll just drive it long. But Adelaide with the numbers. Bergman goes up, brings it down to his own advantage. Handball to Amon. Handball to Rosie. Tries to get around Walters, loses it. Gets some help from Burne-Jones. Port retreat to the wing. Now in the hands of Burton. He'll drive it long towards full forward. Big pack forms, out the back it goes. Young's there. Pal Pepper worries him out of it. Coming through Clark, he loses it. Eventually Cox gives it off to Wilson, who'll jam it on the right boot.
Waiting underneath it though is Boak, and he marks 51 from goal. Stabs it to Bergman on, dropped the mark. Able to be picked up by Finlayson, gave it back to Eamon, back to Finlayson from right half forward. Sends it to right. Oh! What about that from Georgiades?
It's up there too.
Oh my goodness me! Hayden Young's got a contender already in the same game. Onto the shoulders of Cox. Just about the 13th bloke on the moon.
Oh.
That was that high. That is an absolute screamer.
Oh, we're lucky today, aren't we?
I wondered when the next contender would come. We didn't get even through the rest of this round. Mitch Georgiades. You need oxygen when you're that high up into the stratosphere. The mark deserves a goal from the right forward pocket. He'll kick from 35 metres out, right on the three-quarter time siren. Georgiades, he's missed. It deserved more. Fremantle fans won't care. 14-8-92 the Dockers, 9-4-58 Port Adelaide. Goodness me, that's the sort of thing that takes your breath away, a mark like that. But Fremantle, they'll be very comfortable with a 34-point lead at the final change. And they've increased what was their advantage at half-time of 25 points. With scores level at quarter time as well. Mitch Georgiades has 2. He should have 3. And he might need some oxygen after that screaming mark. Port Adelaide's other goal kickers, they're all individuals. Powell-Pepper, Burton, Marshall, Boak, Rosie, Farrell and Bergman, who was the late in with the quad injury suffered by Xavier Dersma. For Fremantle, their goal kickers, Rory Lobb's got 5. 2 to Aish, 2 to Taberner. Singles to Sarong, Schultz, Fife, Brayshaw and Frederick. So three-quarter time here at Perth Stadium. Fremantle 14-8-92 to Port 9-4-58. It's also quarter time in the Super Netball Grand Final. The West Coast Fever lead the Melbourne Vixens 18 goals to 14. So a 4-goal advantage to the West Coast Fever in the Super Netball. There is a fair bit more to come. Wherever you're listening, thanks to ABC Sport on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
If you love sport, we've got the exact podcast for you. ABC Sport Daily, your daily sports conversation.
Getting knocked out at the quarterfinals of an Asian Cup, which
Calamitous.
You don't want to be known as the player that lost the Ashes.
And these roundabouts on narrow roads, and the riders are freaking that the race will be going too fast into these roundabouts and some of the guys won't be coming out.
They've got to walk into the Queensland Origin Temple and tear everything down.
You can find it wherever you get your podcasts.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Stolen by Frederick. Handball to Darcy. Handball to Brody. Attacking edge of the square for the Dockers. Chip short. Lob on the lead. He marks. This will be from 50. Sends it on goal. It'll go right to the line. And a dream start to the second half for the purple. Picking it up, Frederick. He'll kick towards the pocket. Aaliyah drops the mark, allows in Taberner. Now 5, handball to Lob, waltzes in, whacks it through. Immediate response from Fremantle. Lob's 4.
Brayshaw from 49 out, sends it towards right full forward. Lob had 2 goes at it. Did he get a little nudge? I reckon the free kick is coming the way of Lob. Here it is. Arms chopped according to the official. He's going to go the set snap. That's 5 goals for Rory Lobb.
Georgiades gathers on the bounce, handball to Gray, handball away towards Motlop, back to Gray, ricochets back to him, off to Rosie, dribbles it through, Port come again.
Able to be picked up by Finlayson, gave it back to Eamon, back to Finlayson from right half forward, sends it to right. Oh! What about that from Georgiades?
It's up there too.
Oh my goodness me! Hayden Young's got a contender already in the same game, onto the shoulders of Cox.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
2 great marks, one for both teams. In terms of the score, it's very much in favour of Fremantle. 14-8-92 to Port 9-4-58. A couple of text messages coming through. Cyril in Adelaide says, loving the call. I'm a Freo supporter in a man cave in Adelaide. It's cold here at the moment, but the footy's hot. Chiseling some wood and doing a little bit of carving. I'm enjoying it as we're up. G'day to you all. Thank you very much for texting in there. Shane from Curran Hills, great call. Sarong is a ball magnet. Wines can be on fire. Dixon needs a goal. Houston and Amon need to pull their fingers out or my multi won't work. But we certainly need a little bit more luck. Not that we're encouraging gambling here at the moment, but I do have to say, Shane, that you're in a bit of strife with Port Adelaide, I would say, at the moment. Mark from Adelaide asked for a crowd estimate. I'd reckon about, 42 or thereabouts. And we're seeing a couple more replays on the big screen of the mark from Georgiades. Him and Hayden Young. I don't know how you separate them. I'll have to have a bit more of a think over the next quarter. What do you make of it all? Bo McDonald, Cara Antonio, put your credentials on the line. Who's the bigger mark?
Oh, I think Georgiades is the bigger man, so I reckon he might have been a little bit higher.
Yep.
But it certainly would have looked good from the fence for the cheer squad. Port Adelaide cheer squad sitting right behind him there.
Yeah.
Would have looked spectacular. It was I suppose we've been blessed today to see 2 terrific grabs. It's probably one of the best parts of our sport is the high mark, and great to see. But yeah, this contest here, look, Port Adelaide, just looking at the clearances, it's really starting to get away from them now. 39-19 at three-quarter time, and they built on that a lot in the third quarter there. So, yeah, I can't see how Port get him back in this game, Cara. Like, they've thrown the kitchen sink at it. You can turn it into a contested one-on-one game. But Freo winning the contest as well as the structure game. So I'm not sure what they do here.
Yeah, you just want effort. You want them to win the tackle count. You want them to get on top of the clearances and get their ball inside forward 50.
Yep.
Have a look at some of the numbers and go down to a cash fodder as well. But we're about to start this final term. Port, their season hanging in the balance. One down by Darcy to get things started. Umpire spotted a holding decision. It's a free kick going the way of David Mundy. So the Dockers got the first chance to go forward from right on the centre line. He puts it inside attacking 50. Alir comes out, can't mark. Dives on top of it, tries to be stolen away by Fife. Drew working in there as well. Frederick wraps up Burn-Jones, which will give us a chance to quickly go downstairs to a cash.
Matt Taberner was put through his paces, being forced to do some run-throughs and sprints at three-quarter time, and now he's down in that little treatment area of the bench having some tests as well, and looks like Bailey Banfield might even be taking the jacket off here.
Finlayson won the tap, sent it into the middle of the ground. Young was there, hand pass back to Ace, had it stolen away. Now this is Rosie bursting through, sweeps the hand pass to Marshall at centre-half forward and stabs the pass on to Dixon, who marks right in front of goal and about 30 metres out.
Good build-up, really good build-up from Port. And again, we called on Dixon at, three-quarter time that he needed to stand up and, again, needs to go back and convert this to give Port any chance or hope.
He's one of the players that has to deliver for Port if they're to have any chance. The kick's on its way. He misses out to the right-hand side. 14.8.92 the Dockers, 9.5.59 Port, opening 90 seconds of the final term. Early stages, second quarter in the grand final of the Super Netball. The Fever lead 22 goals to 19.
Ryan with the kick in, goes up into the centre square, no mark taken. Mackenzie for Port comes down with the footy, handball to Mead, handball to Finlayson, handball to Burton, kicks across the centre square and Farrell's able to claim it. Farrell a little unsure. He'll kick further out wide to Burgoyne. Now he'll run and drive it long inside 50, looking for a marker, going up Marshall, can't take the mark. Young comes through for the Dockers, stolen by Houston. High fend off. And Young will get the free kick. Now fullback for the Dockers. So Hayden Young wants to kick towards the wing. A shocker of a kick. He turns it straight over to Mackenzie of Port.
He goes back into the middle of the ground. This is with Burton. Former Hawk with one goal to his name today. Kicks back towards full forward. Dixon comes out towards it. Can't mark. Houston picks it up. Tackled by two Dockers. Darcy got him one way and Hughes the other. Ball up at full forward for the Power. They need to somehow find a goal here, Port. Dixon against Darcy. They allow the ball to bounce to Wines. Clever hand pass over the top to Houston. Ducks out of one tackle. Brayshaw got him. Ball spilled out. Hughes was able to work it away to Young for Fremantle. Sends it towards left half back. Punched forward by Logue. Alir waits. Gathers the bouncing footy. Hands it on to Wines. Pops Port forward to Mead and gets shoved by Brayshaw over the boundary line at right half forward. The Dockers' defence stands up. Akash Fodadar is downstairs.
Looks like Fremantle have made their sub. Matt Taberner has moved to the back of the bench and Bailey Banfield has taken the warm-up top and is ready to come onto the ground.
Darcy and Finlayson from the throw-in, down in front. Drew onto the footy, tackled by Mundy. Oh, the umpire slips over on this slippery northern wing. Umpire O'Gorman going down. Darcy down to Mundy, soccers it forward. Brayshaw soccers it again. Fife ends up with it. Handball to Sarong. Handball to Hughes. Draws a man, gives it off to Young, who snaps around the boundary out on the full. So Port to get it back. Wines will have it. Fremantle lead by 33 points, 4 minutes into the fourth.
Wines gets told to move around to kick over the mark, so he steps back over the boundary line and then sends it into the right forward pocket. Leaping Georgiades, not as high as he was earlier, and there's the other high flyer in Young on the deck this time, is able to work it away. towards the boundary line where Georgiades can't keep it in. Did you notice how well Bo was able to dodge answering that question earlier on?
Yes.
Very impressive. I'll ask him again when we get another chance as Darcy wins the tap down for Mundy. Set upon immediately. Mead got him. So too did Houston. Will ball up. Come on, Bo.
I thought about it more. I'm going for Hayden Young. His hang time was a bit longer. There you go.
Finlayson won it down to Drew. Worked it to Houston for Port. Back at right half forward. It comes to Burton. Kicks into the right forward pocket. Young goes to the footy. Got a fist on it, but it's kept in play by Dixon. Oh, Charlie! From the outside of the right boot, hard up against the boundary. This game's had a little bit of everything. That is a magnificent goal from the absolute top shelf. And perhaps there's life and hope just yet. 10-5-65 Port Adelaide. Dixon's goal is a ripper. Fremantle remain 14-8-92. 5 and a bit gone in the last.
We crumbed that like a small forward, Charlie Dixon, didn't he? Tied up against it. That's an outstanding goal.
Oh, goodness
Impossible
me.
ankle. Hasn't been his night tonight. I think Pearce has got the better of him, but look, anything's possible in the game of footy. Only 27 points in it now.
What a way to kick your first of the night, Charlie Dixon.
Umpire puts it down back in the middle. Dixon in the ruck. He wins the tap after that goal. Sarong onto it. Gets a handball away. Ball spills free. Gray picks it up. Handball to Boak. Handball to Dixon. Attacking edge of the square. Sees a vacant goal square. Attacks it. Gets the bounce. Dixon on the double.
Boak and Gray, fantastic hands in the middle there. Super slick. Bang, bang, and another inside 50.
Charlie gets a couple in 2 minutes. And Port Adelaide comes storming back into this contest. It's 21 points. Fremantle 14-8-92. Port Adelaide 11-5-71, 7 minutes into the fourth.
Well, it just proves, Freo were +8 in clearances, especially in the centre of the ground, how important centre clearances are to get it inside forward 50. But Charlie Dixon, take a bow.
He's got his steam up now, hasn't he?
Absolutely.
He could have 3 to start this quarter. He should have 3 to start the quarter. But he's got 2 now. He liked it a lot too. He was sitting down on the deck after getting the kick away, but still was able to punch the air, show the biceps off. And now he's back in the centre circles against Lobb. Lobb won it down. Sarong overread it. Dixon gets it again. To Wines, to Dixon, everywhere at the moment. Hands it to Drew. Kicks high and long towards full forward. And up from the side and marking. Wonderful grab to Mead. Jackson Mead floating across in front. He's pretty much right in front. He'll start in line with the right hand behind posts. This is very kickable from about 40 out.
This goal could make it very interesting if this one goes through.
It would be some way to kick your first in AFL football. From about 43 outs. Mead's kicked the goal. His first in the AFL. And what a time for it to come as almost every Port Adelaide player runs to him. The 20-year-old has kept their momentum going. Fremantle's lead, which looked unassailable at 34 points at three-quarter time, is now just 15, 8.5 gone in the last.
Well, they've just put Darcy back in the ruck to try and get a bit of strength on the ball against Charlie Dixon here. He's been good the last couple of minutes in his... You can see when he's got enthusiasm, and even as he's standing there waiting to take a set of bounce, he's down, he's crouched, he's ready, he's staring him down. Darcy's just taken a step in here, is just going to really try and curb the influence.
Fremantle need a centre clearance. The rucks jump into each other. Brayshaw and Sarong wrap up Powell Pepper. And we'll get a secondary ball up. Darcy and Dixon again. Dixon down to Gray. Another clearance for Port. Out towards the wing. Tumbling ball. Ryan leads Wines to the footy. Slips over. Handball away to Brayshaw. Handball to Hughes. Handball to Walker. Freo backward to the wing. A good kick to the logo on Sarong. Now the players in purple break. Sarong short to Walters. A 34-point lead cut to just 15. Walters goes into the pocket. Aaliyah from the side. Doesn't claim the mark. Logue onto it. Handball away. Banfield dribbles it on goal. Getting back. Farrell's able to rush it through. 16 points, the purple advantage. 10 minutes played in the fourth. The Power coming with a rush. They've kicked the last 4 goals in this game.
Port through Burton beyond defensive 50. Hughes is up against Dixon. Punched it forward only as far as Boak though. Worked it on in turn to Drew. Kicked into the middle of the ground and Motlop was there, but it was the opposite 6 in Clark who took the mark. 4 minutes to play in the first half in the Super Netball Grand Final. And the Fever's lead is 4 goals, 29-25 over the Melbourne Vixens. Ball in the hands of Hughes. From the logo, northern wing. He'll kick deep inside forward 50. Good strong grab. McKenzie was up. Out-pointed Lob that time. Lob though with a career best 5 goals today. So it's been a good afternoon for him as it came to Farrell and then to Marshall a long way from where you'd expect him to be. Beyond defensive 50 to left half back to Drew. Drew brings it down the southern wing. Brayshaw was able to get a fist on the footy. But Finlayson's right there. He sockets it off the ground. It came to Mead. Back to Finlayson. He kicks towards full forward and Rosie marks. They had a 2-on-1. And I'm not sure how, but Port, Rosie can go back and well, he would kick his 5th in a row.
Not sure what Brayshaw was thinking. He had time to mark that ball, but he decided to spoil it. And then the fumble, I think, from Cox on the wing. Port are up and about.
They are. They look more energy on the Port side at the moment.
Rosie's shot at goal is through. Port have kicked the past 5 majors. Rosie's got a second. And it's a 10-point ball game. 13-5-83 Port. The Dockers 14-9-93. 12 gone in the last. Remember, Freo had the lead by 34 points at 3/4 time.
The last couple of minutes, you can see Freo have just tried to take the pace off the game when they've got the ball, but just when the turnover comes, Port's going bad. Port are playing like a desperate team now that want to stay in the finals. It hasn't been like that all game, but I suppose as the time pressure comes in now, the clock counting down, you get more desperate.
Both teams, their midfield groups with a little powwow. Fremantle need to stem the bleeding. Dixon wins the tap down. Mundy goes after it. He claims it for Freo. Dribbles a kick out towards the wing. Drew, tackle on Brody. And we'll get a ball up. Southern edge of the centre square. Port Adelaide, as Clint mentioned, have kicked the last 5 goals. All 4 in this 4th term. Onto the footy Yash. Handball errant, stolen by Mead. Amon. Handball away towards Boak. Who'll drive Port inside 50. Looking for Marshall, he brings it down. Rosie swoops onto it, stands up in the tackle, breaks it eventually, off to Marshall, snaps on goal and misses. Back to single digits. As close as Port Adelaide have been since the 7-minute mark of the 2nd term.
You can feel the tension around the stadium from those in purple as Ryan goes beyond defensive 50. No one can take a mark. It's off hands and over for a boundary throw-in. West Coast Fever have stretched their lead in the Super Netball Grand Final. They're out to a 6-point advantage now, 6-goal advantage, 33-27. 2 to play in the 2nd quarter. Darcy wins it down. It came to Rosie, well tackled by Sarong. Umpire lurks, no prior his decision. They'll ball it up. Right half forward for Port. Darcy gets clean hands to it. Actually kicked into Mundy, ricocheted away. Tracked towards the boundary line by Boat. Can he keep it in? Not quite. It'll be a throw-in. Just forward of centre wing for Port Adelaide.
They look more desperate right now, Port, don't they?
I reckon Rosie, seeing another replay, did decide to take the tackle on. Was lucky not to get given a free kick against him. As Houston from the ruck gathers, and he is tackled immediately. Brody got him on the logo centre wing. It's a 9-point advantage to Fremantle. 15 gone in the last Grandstand AFL.
Port Adelaide win the footy from the stoppage on the logo. Houston, handball back towards Boak. Mundy there with him, the two vets. Spills back to Houston, dribbles a kick forward. Ricochets off Brody, out of play, a throw in. I mentioned Fremantle with a perfect record when leading at three-quarter time this year. That's in jeopardy now. You wouldn't have thought the 34-point lead would be the one in jeopardy. Darcy brings it down. Ricochets away to Rosie. He's gang tackled. They take him down. And another ball up on the wing. Fremantle's midfield trying to fight back. Darcy takes it out of the ruck, loses it in the Dixon tackle, spills out to Rosie. Winds off a step, partially smothered. Along the line it goes. Houston tries to keep it in, he can't. And we'll get another throw in. 9 points is all Fremantle lead by. They did lead by as much as 40 late in the third term.
Thrown in. One down by Dixon. Gray can't gather it first time. Just flipped it out the side with the second go. Found Wines. Kicks around the body. Collier marks. Here on the slippery northern wing. Collier for Fremantle. Again, wants to take every moment he's allowed. He'll kick in the direction of Fife, who marks. Running with the flight of the football at left half forward. Not a great kick inside, attacking 50. Jonas could have marked it, elects to punch it down. It came straight to Burn-Jones-Low. The power move it on to Bergman, kick towards the commentary wing. Cox got a fist away in a pack. Georgiades is there. Knocked away from him by Brody. Fell down to Fife for the Dockers. Gave it to Mundy. Wormburner towards the top of the attacking 50. Rosie was there for Port. Gave it back to Burn-Jones. From right half back, kicks to centre wing. Pack of three. Houston up, got hands to it. Hand pass over the head. Perfect. To Boak. To Finlayson. Got him. Said Brayshaw. Dockers will play on quickly. Mundy. Brody. Through towards Wilson. Kicks inside forward 50. Frederick. Marks. Plays on. Hand pass over the top. And Schultz. Schultz kicks the goal from the goal square. And we all know what happens when he gets two majors in a game of footy for Fremantle. The Dockers, their first of the quarter. They end a run of 5 unanswered goals. 15-9-99 to Port, 13-6-84. Jubilation for those in purple. But remember, if you're a Port fan, you've still got time. That lead back out to 15 points. Give me the stat again, Ben.
Fremantle previously 17-0 when Lockie Schultz kicks multiple goals. But what about Andy Brayshaw on this?
Absolutely.
That was enormous.
It was a desperation I love from Brayshaw, the turnover and goal.
From the restart, Brody goes after the loose footy. Gray fights after it. Anthony Green would be calling it on the back of the second goal from Schultz, but Port will keep coming. Here's Houston, away to Boak. Handball into the middle, Wines. On to Gray. Plenty of time, he looks further afield. Pepper leads out and marks on his chest. Inside the centre square. Looks inside 50. Brayshaw gets back again. A great desperate effort. Now he receives the handball. He kicks to the wing. Bergman's there. Schultz right there with him. Bergman knocks it on to Pepper, who goes back to Jonas. The power captain looks into the pocket. Coming across Clark, he spoils it away. And a throw in the right forward pocket here for Port. Fremantle by 15. 18 and a half into the fourth.
Freo have to make sure they've got structure ahead of the footy and they're not all folding back. There's way too much time to be able to, I suppose, slow this game down.
And the throw in. Both rucks missed it. Finlayson tried to get a kick away. It was smothered. Fife out after it. Taken by Walker. Oh, Walker set himself a task. Just got the hand pass to Walters on the deck. His hand pass straight though to Georgiades. To Farrell, goes back beyond attacking 50. Found Amon. Amon from 51 out. Sends it towards goal. The postal votes might be coming, Ben Cameron. 15-9-99, the Dockers. Port Adelaide back to within 9 points. 14-6-90. 19 gone in the last. That did come from a different postcode.
They were relentless then, Port Adelaide, just tackle after tackle, just ganging up on them there to get the turnover. Plenty of numbers around the ball. And another terrific finish on the 50.
What a game. What a final quarter.
What a couple of rounds we've had in the footy too.
I think it's a really important goal, that, because the juice was in the building with Fremantle, wasn't it, after that terrific effort by Brayshaw, stirring effort from a leader of their club, and then they get a goal. And it's hard to turn that momentum around in last quarters into state, but Port's showing a lot.
Half-time in the netball grand final, the Fever over the Vixens by 6 goals. 35 plays 29.
Purple palpitations everywhere. A free kick in the middle. It'll go to Darcy.
It's a bit stiffy, but they've been doing that all day.
Darcy puts his big left hoof through it. Inside 50. Banfield drops a mark. Comes down to Schultz. Feeds out a handball for Hughes. Burn-Jones onto it. Hooks the ball clear of the D50 for Port. Walker gathers. Handball to Brody. Handball to Brayshaw. Back to Walker. Uses his wheels. Just pushed off his kick by Wines. Loose footy. Onto it, Brody. Eventually it spits out. Socket out of there by Burton. Drew onto the footy. Gives it off to Gray, to Jonas, who dumps it on his left. He kicks to the wing.
Georgiades waits. Ryan attacked it. Georgiades couldn't mark, but he gathers. Takes a bounce on centre wing. And then another at right half forward. Kicks around the body inside forward 50. No Port player there. Walker takes the defensive mark for Fremantle. He'll send it back to fullback. And Wilson in his first game of the season, 150th of his career, marks and puts it out into the right back pocket. Pearce marks to Collier. Marks uncontested. Right where the 50-metre arc meets the boundary at right half back. The Dockers lead by 9. 22 gone in the last. Collier will put it towards the southern wing. Logue is there against Jonas. Logue got a touch on it, spilled down to Burgoyne. He gathered. Logue then gives away a free kick. Burgoyne taken high. He'll bounce up for the Power, who trail by 9.
Generally pretty good in big moments are Burgoyne's. He goes back to Burn-Jones. Off to Finlayson to Aliir. The switch is on. Now Aliir runs through the middle of the ground. Kicks out towards Drew. Young there with him. Young halves it, or he gives away a free kick. So Drew with the free kick. Handball to Waymon on his left. Drives it long towards Marshall. Ryan there for the Dockers, as he so often is, saving Luke Ryan. He knocks it out. We'll get a throw in. Right forward pocket for Port.
They've had a few close ones this year, Port. They've had a 1-point win, a 2-point win, a 3-point loss and a 4-point loss. So they know about being in these tight situations. From the throw-in, it comes down to Brayshaw. Oh, the kick is straight up and down in the air. Houston there couldn't mark. Spills down to Hughes. Hand pass to Sarong. Sarong will put it in the direction of Pearce, and he's able to drag it in uncontested in the right back pocket. Did have to show some real pace to get there, though. Again, he pauses for a second for Fremantle. They lead by 9. 23 gone in the last. Kick towards the southern wing. Oh, Logue is up! On most days, that'll be mark of the day. Doesn't even come close today. It might get on the podium, though. It was a great grab. Flying up into the air over the top of a teammate and Aliir. He'll kick towards right half forward, and then it's taken over the boundary line for a throw-in. Jonas happy enough then. Fremantle fans wanted deliberate. Of course, Port Adelaide well aware of insufficient intent after William Drew's hand pass over the boundary line under pressure, with just seconds to play in their win over Gold Coast last week.
Umpire brings it back in. Darcy brings it down, stealing it. Wines feeds a handball forward. Clever little tap from Drew, trying to get it to Rosie. Brayshaw right there with him. Out of play, will get a throw in. Fremantle lead by 9 points. 41,326 in attendance. Fremantle
634 shy, Ben.
What did I say?
I said 42.
Oh, you did. You were close. Fremantle need 1 point to get to 100. The 3 other times they've gone into triple figures this year, they've won.
Burton looked to find Wines. Wilson came the other way and did enough just to see the ball over the boundary line. Looks like there's a bit of cramp downstairs. Here, one of the Port players, it's Houston. the officials are looking at from Port Adelaide as it's thrown back in. Medico's right around him. Comes down off hands from the restart. Mundy gathers. Kicks Fremantle to right half forward. Lowe got a hand to it. Burgoyne, though, gathered the crumbs to Jonas. To Burn Jones. Moving on to Burton. Oh, he ducks the 5 tackle and sweeps a hand pass forward. He wanted Powell Pepper. Couldn't take it against Mundy. Spilled out to Sarong. And then Powell Pepper tackles him. It's just shy of right half forward for Fremantle. They still lead by 9 points, 24 and a bit gone in the last.
Darcy wins the tap down. Sarong kicks it into the backside of Brayshaw. Ricochets away to Collier. Burton takes it for Port. He thumps it down the wing. Bouncing ball. Clark tracks it. Slaps it backwards. Now tracks it again. Fumbles. Georgiades there. Eventually Clark gathers. Pull handball away to Wilson. Wilson drives it long to half forward. Burgoyne with a fist in there. The big ruckman Darcy can't bend over and gather. Dixon can. Handball knocked down by Brayshaw. Dixon crawling after it on all fours. Desperate times. Sock it out of there by Amon towards the wing.
Fremantle under real pressure here. Great tackle, Motlop on Wilson. Ball up, says the umpire. Port running out of time. They need 2 goals to keep their season alive. The Dockers want to hang on to improve their chances of a top 4 finish. It came down here to Burn Jones, to Rosie, back to Jonas from left half back. Kicks to left half forward. Coming with the flight of the football, Wilson, a fine mark for Fremantle. Dangerously back to Young. Marshall couldn't get there in time. Young marks. He sends it right back inside his defensive 50 to Ryan. He can go short to Walker and does with the foot pass. He marks it left half back. Walker moves it down to Sarong. Marking shy of the logo northern wing. He'll pop it short to Hughes. Far enough to be a mark, and Hughes has it in front of the interchange gates where Mundy just strolls by and he'll take a seat. Brodie is back on. 26 and a half gone in the last. Freo by 9 over Port. Kick towards left half forward. Dixon was up. Aliir gathers the crumbs. Hand pass to Georgiades. Hand pass to Dixon. Did well for the big man to work his way through. Hand pass was there for Rosie. Clever tap. Tapped it back to Wines. It opens up for Port. Wines hands it on to Motlop. Motlop looks for an option. He'll kick towards left full forward. Gray marks. There are a couple of magnificent individual bits of play in that from Port. When they were surrounded in all sorts of trouble, the Power were just able to find a way.
The Rosie tap back, elite.
Great understanding. And here's the invitational kick there, just out in front.
Robbie Gray returns after being managed for a couple of weeks. And that is out of bounds on the full from the left forward pocket when a goal was just what they needed. Ken Hinkley puts his head in his left hand for a moment. No change to that score. Freo by 9, nearly 28 gone in the last.
One of the most clutch performers we've seen in recent times. And he kicks it out on the full. Long kick to the wing, off hands, loose footy. Banfield goes in. Jonas for Port. Handball from Wines to Boat. Gang tackled. It comes out to Port again. Jonas to Burton to Burn Jones. He kicks back inboard. McKenzie under pressure. Able to gather on the bounce to Bergman. Kicks laterally to Farrell. Pepper breaks on the wing. He ignores that. Looks further afield. Has Drew breaking. Bouncing ball. Gathers. Looks inside 50. Sets it up to the hot spot. Marshall! Marshall marks! 30 out. As good as directly in front.
Just quick, smart ball movement. You can tell both sides and all players are absolutely stuffed.
They are, aren't they? Hands are on heads and hips. And
Todd Marshall, a breakout year, comes in, misses left. A massive let-off. 8 points is the difference. And for Port Adelaide, the time is slipping through the hourglass.
2 opportunities. If they'd taken them both, they'd be in front. Freo hanging on. Kick beyond defensive 50. Dixon! They might not be done yet though, Port, but they have to convert when given a chance. Dixon from right half back. Kicks back inside forward 50. Off hands, Young's there. Spills to ground. He's wrapped up. Ball not coming out of there. Good tackle from Mead. It's at full forward for Port, who trail by 9. Not long to play. One down by Dixon to Finlayson. Couldn't take it cleanly to Hughes. Anywhere will do. Throws it on the boot to Banfield. And he marks it left half back. He sees the run of Schultz. The kick goes in his direction. Schultz marks. Forward of the wing. He runs inboard. Kicks in the direction of Logue. Can't find him. The ball bounces away. But it's okay for Fremantle at the moment. It is a long way from goal. It's an 8-point margin in favour of the Dockers. Half an hour gone in the last.
That was the equivalent, I reckon, of a soccer player taking it to the corner flag. Forward 50 stoppage will do. Dixon taps it down. Boak onto the footy. Can Port find something? Burn-Jones. Handball away. Schultz steals it to Brayshaw. High ball inside 50 for the Dockers. No mark taken. Mead's there. There's going to be a Port free kick. Amon will take it. He sends it out wide. Pau Pepper chips it towards Wine. Wilson comes across, fists it down. And Fife's there. Handball away to Sarong. Loops a handball further afield towards Banfield. Now Hughes, Frederick. He'll go long inside 50. At the back, Schultz. It spills down. Gathered there by Burn-Jones. He'll kick up the middle. And the mark taken by Rosie. There were purple palpitations, but Freo hold off Port to win by 8 points. 15-9-99 to 14-7-91. We are the Freo Dockers. Freo, way to go. Get a real hot and down below. Oh, Freo, give them the old home. We are the Freo Dockers. We're the rollers, we're the rockers. We're the mighty Freo Dockers. We're gonna roll them and we'll rock them. We're gonna send them to the bottom. And if they get up, we'll do it again. The Dockers stop at nothing. Freo, way to go. Hit 'em real hard, send 'em down below. Oh, Freo, give 'em the old ho. We are the Freo Dockers. Freo, way to go. Hit 'em real hard, send 'em down below. Oh, Freo, give 'em the old ho. We are the Freo Dockers. They just did enough, Fremantle. And they consolidate their spot in the 4 with an 8-point win over Port Adelaide, for whom the season is probably all but done. Now 2 games and percentage out of the top 8 with 7 games to play. The goal kickers, Rory Lobb with a career-high 5 for Fremantle. 2 to Aish, 2 to Taberner, 2 to Schultz. Singles to Frederick, to Brayshaw, to Fife and to Sarong. While for Port Adelaide, Dixon with 2 goals, 2. Georgiades with 2. Rosie with 2. Singles to Marshall, Burton, Pau Pepper, Farrell, Amon, Boak, Mead and Bergman. Fremantle and Port were all square at quarter time. The Dockers led by 25 at the main break. They led by 34 at three-quarter time, and then all of a sudden got an almighty fright as the power really did put on a surge. But they hung on to win by 8 points. Lockie Schultz sealing the deal, a second goal for him, making sure of it despite, again, some late nerves. If you happen to be wearing purple, Port had one more throw of the dice. Robbie Gray kicking out of bounds on the full from the left forward pocket. Don't see that often. And then Marshall missing, kicking it behind when a goal beckoned. They go through, Port win. Could've, should'ves and would'ves. It is Fremantle who win by 8 points. If you're a neutral or just a fan of footy, that was another ripper in what we've had 2 great weeks of football. A real thriller to wrap up round 16.
How did you assess it all? Bo McDonald, Cara Antonio, our experts on Grandstand AFL.
Oh, you hit the nail on the head, Clint. It had everything we wanted to see. Some big marks, some high pressure, comeback football. But I think on the Port Adelaide side, obviously bit of disappointment. But I'd be really interested to listen to JL's press conference, because I don't reckon he'll be happy with that at all. Their standards have gone up this year, and they let Port Adelaide back in this game. So I think, you take the win, especially when you don't play so well. But I think they might get a bit of heat from the coach, and just easy missed goals. It almost makes you feel sick. I think Marshall missed a couple of real easy ones tonight, and then Boak, like you said, Benny, clutch performer, and he misses as well. But it was a great effort, and I think the midfield for Fremantle sort of kept them in it in that last bit with Brayshaw and Will Brodie. Their tackling efforts inside was terrific, especially Brayshaw's effort we called on the wing here, just to on the half-back flank here, just to get their hands on the hips and force the turnover. It was fantastic. I thought they kept their forward structure most of the day too, Cara, which was good. Every time you looked up, Freo had 6 ahead of the ball, which served them well, I thought.
Yeah, look, I would have been really interested to see if Port Adelaide had to bring that energy, the fight, run and desperation that they showed in that final quarter. We might have been having a different result and having a different conversation. They were outstanding in that last quarter, but it was too late. Unfortunately, we've spoken about it. They had their opportunities. If one of those goals had gone through, it would... How exciting would have the last 90 seconds have been? But to Fremantle's credit, they were obviously better for longer and deserved the win in the end. But you're right, it'd be interesting to see the messaging after that performance, especially the way they performed in that last quarter. Yes, the tackle count was great. I think Brayshaw had 6, Mundy had 4, and Will Brodie had 3. They just couldn't get their hands on the footy, and Port Adelaide toyed with them a little bit. It was almost like a training drill at some points for Port Adelaide. They were up and about and gave themselves the most opportunity forward of the ball, but just couldn't convert on the scoreboard.
It's how often do we see it, teams, they go forward and they worry about how they're going to turn it over in their forward 50 because it generates a goal down the other end for the other team. But as soon as Port went away from that and started putting them under the pump, kicking it to the corridor, the top of the 50 instead of the corridor, instead of the boundary line, it just put Freo under so much more pressure. It's a really hard decision, I reckon, to make as a coach. Do we worry about us where we turn the ball over, or do we try and put the foot on the throat and put them under the pump the other way? So, yeah, look, like you said, they had to tackle well in that last quarter, those mids, didn't they? Because they weren't getting their hands on it. It was a couple of saving tackles there, and yeah, look, Brayshaw, his work rate's fantastic, and Freo's work rate overall, they run hard. They definitely look like a fitter team this year.
Oh, they do, and I'm just looking at the stats from the last quarter. Port Adelaide smashed them in disposals, inside 50 count, clearance, ground balls, all the important stats that you probably, as a Fremantle Football Club, pride yourself on winning.
Is that nearly 42 more?
Yeah, 42 more, yep.
Unbelievable.
More touches.
In a quarter.
Yep, and I mean, the plus is Fremantle had a couple more tackles, but they hardly got their hands on the footy, so they had to tackle more. But first 3 quarters, I was really impressed with Fremantle, the way they went about it, and they just probably let themselves down in that last quarter. So look, an interesting last little half to the season to see where the ladder ends up, because it's a pretty tight contest at the top.
Mention Andrew Brayshaw, and Ben will run through all the stats, I'm sure, in just a moment, but his ability not just to win the football, but the tackling pressure that he provided, and those little 1%ers, we mentioned it in one of the passages of play that led to a Fremantle goal, put on a tackle where Port looked like they were away and then was involved in a spoil as well. Just incredible what he's been able to do, and we knew for the moment that he was drafted by Fremantle how good he could be, but he just continues to take little steps, doesn't he?
He's the best two-way runner in the competition.
I agree. He's a gut runner, and he showed tonight that, again, he never gives up, and there's always something left in the tank for him. And it's great that he's such a young player, he's the future of the Dockers, along with the Sarongs and the likes. But to set that standard early on in his career is outstanding for those around him. So he's in career best form. He'd be well and truly up there in the Brownlow votes. So I think more for him, though, he just wants to play finals footy. And, again, with this win, Fremantle put themselves in a really good spot to secure a top 4 spot at the end.
They're playing finals footy, Freo. It's just a matter of where they end up and can they get themselves the home final and the double chance by finishing in the top 4. Let's head down into the rooms. They're making their way in there. Akash Fodadar is there for us. G'day, Akash.
Thanks, Clint. Yeah, the Freo guys just getting into their huddle now. Lots of friends and family in the rooms today as well to celebrate with them. After such a tight win, I expect there to be a bit of gusto in this song, and they're just about ready to go now.
So we'll head back down to Akash very shortly for an interview. See who we can get from the Fremantle side. I know, I was listening to both of you talk, and you've obviously been in positions that I've never been in regards to playing the game. But after the disappointment of how they performed against Carlton last week, although that they did potentially almost let the game slip in that last quarter, and their performance wasn't as good as it was in the first 3 quarters of this game, would Justin Longmuir still have a little element of, well, we have improved significantly from our very poor performance against the Blues? This is one we had to win. We might have given ourselves a bit of a heart attack in the last quarter, but we've got those 4 points and we'll build from there. Or would he be, as you say, unhappy with the way that final term panned out? How would you go about it if you're Justin?
Yeah, it's a hard one. I mean, again, the massive improvement from last week. I mean, they were playing a top 8 team in Carlton, and Carlton have been in tremendous form, and the Dockers were well and truly off their recent form. They set, as Bo said, have set high standards for themselves and improved massively this season, and they pride themselves on their tackle pressure and their inside 50 count and their clearance work, etc. So, look, don't get me wrong, it'd be no one doubt happy with the 4 points, but I think the thing with Fremantle, and it is in the past as well, they've kept teams in it, and you saw that in the last quarter. They were allowing Port Adelaide to kick goals because of a number of different structurally things that let them down. So, look, you go back, and they would take a lot of things from this win, especially probably in that last quarter. They did a lot of things right in the first 3, but a lot to improve on as well.
Yeah, JL will have a lot of evidence there to just keep reinforcing what works well for them, because it's clearly evident what Fremantle do when they play well and what they do when they don't. And Cara just mentioned it there, that the structural stuff that went out the window when Port started to get on. So I reckon the education will be around, there's still a team maturing, and how do we stop that momentum? What do we do in certain situations? So a bit of that situational training, I suppose, for different parts of the game. So I think, to your point, Clint, you have to take the positives out of it. You have to. It's such a hard game, and every week you've got a good opponent, and you've got to enjoy the wins, but you also, really focusing on the education part of where we went wrong. And I think it's pretty obvious JL's been doing that all year, and they've really been able to change their DNA. You look at Fremantle now and you say they play a certain type of way.
Update from the Super Netball, the grand final taking place not too far away at Perth Arena. Still a 6-goal lead to the West Coast Fever there. About 5 to play in the third quarter. 47 goals. We're not biased in here, bro. Come on. 47 goals to 41 over the Melbourne Vixens. A big hello to all our Melbourne listeners.
I wanted to give it enough time so we could seriously analyse what was a wild game, but I haven't seen Robbie Gray miss a clutch moment like that late, and even Marshall, I would have expected him to kick that. And all I can put it down to is the fact that Lockie Schultz had kicked multiple goals. We're already home.
Was your heart in your mouth at any stage in that last quarter because you thought that stat was going out the window?
No, I knew the game was over. I called it. I said the game was done as soon as Lockie Schultz kicked his second.
So 17 block now, is that right?
18 block.
18 block. Oh, that's right. 17 going into this game.
Yeah.
Lockie Schultz, he's the barometer.
He's the barometer.
That. Kicks 2 goals, Freo win. Crazy stat. It was my first thought when he kicked it too, by the way. My absolute first thought. Ben goes, I'll be home now, Freo. 15-9-99, the Dockers to 14-7-91. What do the other numbers tell us, Ben, other than the fact that Lachie Schultz got 2 goals for Freo?
Fremantle finished up with 399 disposals, Port Adelaide 383. Plus 2 in contested possessions, Port. Fremantle plus 18 in clearances. Inside 50s, Port 51, Fremantle 50. The leading ball winners, Ollie Wines, the Brownlow medalist, had a heap of it. 39 disposals, Boak 32, Burne-Jones 29, Aish 29, Clark 29 for the Dockers. The hitouts, Sean Darcy with 38, Lobb with 13, 15 for Charlie Dixon, 5 for Finlayson. In terms of hitouts to advantage, the way it finished up, I'm not too sure. I can't find that number right now. Maybe someone can help me.
Where's it gone?
Hitouts to advantage.
Oh, it's not there.
Someone's been messing with our system, but nevertheless.
We have had that issue today with a couple of things. I tell you, it's since the rugby league boys have come in, they've broken the box. We're looking to Adrian Sardi. Well, they've broken the box, Adrian. I'll be talking to Andrew Moore. Don't worry about that. Simone from Melbourne says, thanks, team, for the great call. Even without a telly, I still felt I knew what was going on. I love the special comments duo. We do too. They're very good, Carl and Bo. Their knowledge really shone through. Thank you, Simone, for getting in touch. If you want to ask us a question, make a comment, anything that's happened across the weekend, love to hear from you. 0437 774 774. Darren from Devonport says, good win by the Bombers yesterday. And yes, I am a one-eyed Bomber. Well done to you, Darren. Certainly a bit to cheer about after going down to the West Coast Eagles the week before. And speaking of those earlier games today, Richmond by 35 points over West Coast. The Tigers move into 7th. 20 goals, 128 to the Eagles 13-15-93. And the Giants rolled the Hawks by 22 points in Sydney at Giants Stadium. 11-6-72 to Hawthorns 7-8-50. Talk to me about Nat Fyfe. There was a lot of discussion about his performance alongside David Mundy last week against Carlton. It was well down on the expectations, even though we know he's been out for a number of weeks. But as two of the real experienced and key players for this Fremantle side, a lot was asked of them. How did you assess, firstly, Nat Fyfe's performance today, Bo?
Yeah, I thought he took another step forward. He had 21 touches. 16 of those were handballs. But what impressed me about Fyfe today was his ability to put some defensive pressure, create some perceived pressure. He got a lot of hands, intercept hands, and knock on the ball and keeping the ball in the area. He's only going to get fitter. Cara, you probably see him around the track a lot more than me, but he doesn't look like he's humming at the moment. But I've no doubt he'll get there. And this is the time of the year you want him to start to get there too. In the next couple of weeks. So look, I think he's making steps in the right direction. He's a superstar of our game, and it's just really good to see everyone else around him chipping in, and that's what you'd want to see if you're Jo. You don't want to see Fyfe and Mundy best on ground every single weekend. You want to see the young ones staking their claim, but I thought he was fantastic. He's certainly, his body language is terrific. You certainly can't tell he's upset or annoyed from not being able to go in the midfield. He's taken the role on, but yeah, I thought he went well, and he shows he's a tough matchup. We spoke about it before, Cara. He can take a grab, but he can also get you at the ground.
Oh, yeah, I think, again, I was actually really happy to see him play the entire game forward.
Yep.
To be honest, I think the consistency needed to come back into the Fremantle midfield, which they found again tonight. So I was really interested kind of sitting back to see how he would go forward for the 4 quarters. And again, it's a different role. It's a hard role as a high half forward. You sometimes get stuck in no man's land, and your unrewarded running doesn't get noticed. And again, I think you mentioned it a few times, Boza, like the taps and the little 1% that he caused a turnover or created scoring opportunities was where he can take his game to the next level. He's probably not going to get his 32 up forward or anything like that, but the impact that he can have in and around a contest forward half of the ground, if he can create a couple of goals off stoppage, then it's a massive win for the Dockers.
Let's head down into the Fremantle rooms. Akash Fodadar.
Thanks, Glenn. I've got Jordan Clark with me. Jordan, how do you feel after such a tight win?
Yeah, we feel pretty good. We got the win. Obviously, we did it the hard way, that's for sure. We take a lot of learnings out of that game. We knew Port, they got nothing to lose in that last quarter. They're going to throw their best at us, and they gave us a good run for our money.
What was Justin's message there in your little post-game meeting about that? Was he happy with how you went about it, or were there areas that he really wanted you to improve on with Port coming so hard late?
Yeah, obviously, there's areas to work on, but we gave up the first 3 goals of the game and probably the last 4 or 5. So in between that, there's a lot to like and a lot we can take out of it, and also a lot to take out from the start and the finish of the game.
In your own game today, personally, you had a great game, about 28 disposals across half-back. How are you finding that role, and do you have a licence to run and take the game on from half-back?
Yeah, obviously, as a defender, you still got to defend. And that's what I've been trying to base my game off at the moment, is ruthless defence, good starting positions, and setting good layers up behind the ball. And coming into this game, we knew our half-backs were it's set up. It was a really good contest for us as half-backs if we got our stoppages right, our layers right, our balance in our contests. And, for large parts of the game, I thought we got it right.
All right, I know the team upstairs has got a few questions for you, so I'll send it up there to Clint Wheeldon, Ben Cameron, Cara Antonio and Bo McDonald.
No worries.
Oh, Jordan, Bo McDonald here, mate. Congratulations on the game. You spoke about, the in-between was really good, and there's stuff to look at from the first quarter and the back end of the last quarter there. Without watching the game over again, what do your instincts tell you that where you went wrong?
Yeah, obviously, early we just, turned the ball over, and late, I suppose, turned the ball over pretty shallow going into our forward 50, and that allowed them to bounce straight back at us and kick goals. So, and obviously it's very hard to defend when you turn your ball over at about 45 metres out, and a team like that get a lot of numbers back, just slice you. So, that's probably the main message that came out of it, and the main thing we're going to work on.
Jordan, Cara Antonio here. Fantastic win by the boys, and especially your individual performance. I thought you were outstanding. Akash, actually you had 29, not the 28, so he stumped you one possession. But I thought your run off the halfback was outstanding. Your inside 50 count was up. Are you enjoying your new role at Fremantle? Yeah, I'm really enjoying life and footy over here. I've worked with Matthew Boyd, JL and Muz really closely, and I've still got a lot to work on in my game, that's for sure. I'm hopefully nowhere near the complete package yet. So, one of my better games for sure, but still a lot of things to work on coming out of that. And last week, obviously, a really disappointing loss from the boys. It's a long plane ride home after a loss, especially from the eastern states. What was spoken about and what was the focus throughout the week leading into tonight's game? Yeah, we just needed to get back to playing our way. Obviously, Carlton took a few things away from us last week that we didn't like, and we sort of played into their hands a little bit by kicking the ball back to them a lot, shallow entries, like we said. And obviously we knew Carlton were a very good side last week, and they were going to give us a good run for our money. And the message this week was just to get back to the way we play our brand of footy, because we know it works. The proof's in the pudding from the start we've had at the start of the year. Geordie, good to speak to you. Ben Cameron here. The Hayden Young mark, where were you on the ground and what did you think of it? Yeah, I wasn't far away. I was about 15, 20 metres away, and it's a pretty good mark, but I don't know. Mitch Georgiades was pretty good too.
We've been asking people about that. Which one do you think, Jordan? And we know Mitch, of course, is a West Australian as well. Yeah, obviously, I know Mitch pretty well, but got to go with the teammate, don't you, Hayden Young?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been running a stat for a little while now about Lachie Schultz. You're 18-0 when he kicks multiple goals. He kicked the last goal, the winning goal, just to prove that stat is behind it. What is it about when Lachie Schultz is on that Fremantle are on?
Like a lot of our small forwards, he's honest, he's hard at the footy, and his pressure's through the roof. So, like a lot of our small forwards, they don't need high possession games to, win us games of footy. And we try and play a forward half brand of footy, and Shooter's a key piece to that, obviously being a pressure forward, a small forward who kicks goals but also has relentless pressure.
I was really interested, Geordie, to hear you say that you feel like you've still got a lot of improvement left in your game. Where is that improvement going to come from? What are those areas?
Yeah, obviously, just want to grow as a footballer, and a lot of my disposal tonight, I felt some of it I didn't make the most of and could have made more of it, but that's all a part of it, really. It's a game, you make mistakes, and I just want to minimise making those mistakes in the future, and hopefully can bring that to the table week in, week out, keep bringing my best footy.
We've asked you about potentially mark of the year. What about another potential goal of the year from Caleb Sarong?
Yeah, Seba. Yeah, nice goal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think I would have put it 20 rows back out on the full. So,
I 20 rows back through the middle.
Oh, Jesus. I think it's up there, but I think Nathan O'Driscoll, Blake Acres have kicked some pretty good ones from the boundary at Optus too. So, obviously, it'd be nice if he does get goal of the year, but that's not what we're here to win. So, I don't think there'll be much spoken about Seba's goal until Liffey's probably called out.
One thing that I think absolutely should be highlighted out of this game is Andy Brayshaw's defensive efforts late.
Yep.
There was a chase down tackle on the wing in front of us, and then one where he got back and sort of chopped off a potential mark, I think, to Finlayson inside 50. Yep. I said on our broadcast, I think he's the best two-way runner in the game, but he's a great inspirational player for this team as well. How would you put that into words?
Yeah, no, his efforts were highlighted in that little passage there where we went into JL's room and had a chat about the game. Him and Nathan Wilson as well had some massive efforts late, and they're the efforts that you expect from your teammates, but Andy does that week in, week out, and I wouldn't say I wouldn't not say he's the best two-way runner in the game, but there's also some pretty good players that do that as well.
Jordan, your disposal efficiency was at 83% today, which is fantastic. And you said you want to keep improving your skills. Like, just for the youngsters out there, what does that look like during the week for you? Yeah,
I mean, getting down to training before training, just doing extra work, getting the fundamentals right, footwork going. And just, sometimes I can get lazy on it, lean back on the kick too much, or sort of with my hands not send my teammates on their way a bit. So, and at this level, it can be the difference sometimes, and that's the stuff I want to work on.
Not that this is a massive deal because of the way that the game panned out, but just out of interest, how did you think the surface held up after the Rugby International was on it last night? There were areas, particularly on the northern wing, where it seemed players were struggling to keep their feet at times.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt it was soft, but it's still a lovely surface to play on. I mean, I don't think there was any boys that were complaining about the surface out there. So, pretty soft underfoot, but it wasn't too bad.
So, Jordan, big picture stuff now. How do you think this win sets you up for a genuine tilt at a top four finish and everything that would mean to Fremantle if it occurs?
Yeah, I mean, not obviously just this win. We've got to keep winning the next couple of weeks. So, obviously, winning's important, but at the moment it's very cliche, and I know everyone hates hearing it, but we've got to take it week by week. We can't look too far ahead of that, and obviously we got done last week. Tonight we sort of left the door open late as well, so we've got a bit to work on, but winning's important.
It is indeed. Well done. Congratulations on the result.
Thanks, guys.
Jordan Clark downstairs. Great of him to join us on Grandstand AFL, thanks to ABC Sport. Now, three-quarter time has just finished in the Super Netball, and the Fever led 54-46. So they'd stretched their halftime lead from 6 goals out to 8 goals, and they now, early stages in the final quarter, lead by 10 goals over the Melbourne Vixens. It's 55-45. So that score must have been wrong. Apologies for what I had down there, but 55-45 the score. The Fever over the Vixens. Now 56-45 with the Fever scoring another goal thanks to their star shooter, their goaler in Janelle Fowler. About 13 minutes to play. We'll continue to bring you right up to date with that. We'll get our votes from our experts very shortly, but the press conference from Port Adelaide is not too far away. We'll get you that when we can as well.
Geordie Clark, he's been a really good recruit for Fremantle, hasn't he? I think, David Walls, who's behind this Fremantle list build, deserves a lot of credit, along with the likes of Peter Bell, the head of footy, and others who have worked on it, because it's coming together quite nicely. The only misstep, I think, in the whole way is that pick 6 where they probably could have had Ben King, and if they had him, I think you'd be looking at this Fremantle list thinking, well, they want for nothing for the next 10 years, but, you can't get them all, can you? And they're going along pretty well at the moment on that build.
Oh, yeah. They are. Like Geordie Clark, even Will Brodie's another one that they've been able to snatch up in the off-season, and just his work rate, his contested ball winner, he hunts, doesn't he? I think he's the number one in the team for contested ball, and clearances. So those two especially have been massive wins for the Dockers, and it's a list that they've been building over some time, and they're finally, I think, getting some reward for those recruits.
Yeah, they certainly are. And we've also got Chapman sitting on the sidelines as well. He's another young up-and-coming good player. Neil Erasmus. Jai Miss, unfortunately, he's going to be a terrific forward. I had the pleasure of working or seeing him last year up close in the 18s. He's going to be a terrific player as well. So, yeah, they've done really well in that department, and it's really important. You look at across the other side of the road at the West Coast Eagles, and they've done terrible in that department, and we're seeing what happens because of that. And although they were good yesterday, the Eagles, they turned it around. You sort of look at the way they've drafted and what they've done over the past 5 or 6 years, and you can probably clearly say they've dropped the ball. So that's been a big win for the Fremantle Dockers. The votes, hey, it was very hard, Cara. We're sitting here going back and forward. You almost want to be able to give out 6 or 7 votes today, but yeah, it was certainly a few players up the top there. Do you want the votes now, or are we going a bit later?
Well, we are going through for a bit. No, let's get the votes now.
You want the votes now?
Yeah, I always rush the votes because we never leave ourselves enough time. We've got some time today, so right. Let's get the votes.
First, I gave one vote to Rory Lobb. The big man kicked 5 goals, had some impact when he went up on ball, and played the game you want to see from Rory Lobb, and he's been doing that a fair bit this year, so that's a big tick for him and the Dockers. We gave 2 to Andy Brayshaw. I think his defence, he was good all game, but his defensive efforts, like we spoke about, were fantastic in that last quarter and kept him in it. 3 votes. Look, I want to give special mention first to Clark and Wines having 39 as well. They were both terrific for their teams, but to Aish and Clark, Aish and Wines, but I gave the 3 votes to Clark. I think he was terrific today. He had 29 touches, 83% efficiency. His metres gained were huge, 419. So that's how it went.
It was a 7 inside 50s from a halfback of that. Was for me, that's just outstanding. And his metres gain over 400 metres. It was outstanding. You were tossing it up, weren't you?
Yeah, Clark was good as well. Aish was very good as well. He's getting better and better every week. And, from playing on the wing to going on ball, and they do run hard both ways. We spoke about Andy Brayshaw is the best at running 2 ways, but that rubs off on your teammates. And when we see that, you see that in the next 2 or 3 midfielders underneath him, and they do that well as well. So, 3 Clark, 2 Brayshaw, and 1 to Lobb, and special mention to Ollie Wines.
Makes it very easy for Christian Medal because those votes just transfer across for the best WA-based player as well. Fremantle by 8 points in an absolute thriller against Port Adelaide. Port started well, kicked the first 3, and then after being down by 40 points at the 23-minute mark of the third term, stormed home as well to give Fremantle a genuine fright. The Dockers 15-9-99 to Port 14-7-91. What do we do with Griffin Logue? Do you just decide if you're Fremantle, look, playing forward for the rest of the year, let's just go with it. We know if you get desperate, if there's an injury, you can play him down back. But Heath Chapman, you would suspect, will return in the next week or 2 from a hamstring injury. They have a plethora of defenders that they can go with. And he seems to do a really good job by presenting when he plays forward. And he'll get better the more he plays there. If you're Justin Longmuir, do you say to Griffin, look, Griff, unless we have an injury run, plonk yourself in the attacking 50 for the rest of the season?
I think so, especially with Taberner now going out again. We know he's had some back issues and being subbed out. Logue is another tall, strong target, and he showed tonight he can take a strong mark overhead and contested, and his goal kicking will come, his forward craft will come, but I think that's something that if you continue to build over the next 5 or 6 rounds, then that's something that Fremantle can have up their sleeve for later on in the season.
Let's head back downstairs. Akash Fodder.
Thanks, Clint. Yeah, Port Adelaide superstar Ollie Wines has been good enough to give us some time after that tight loss. Ollie, thanks for your time. How do you reflect? You came so close with a surge there at the end, but just couldn't quite get over the line.
Yeah, we couldn't quite get there. Look, if we won, we probably didn't deserve to win, but the fact we showed that fight in the last quarter and we put a few goals on them and made them pretty nervous, and we probably had some opportunities late that we'd like again, but look, composure during those second and third quarters cost us a little bit, and we were obviously too far behind, and if you're that far behind, everything's got to go perfect, and it didn't for us.
What aspects of the game do you think Fremantle got a hold of you that made it tough to overrun them?
Oh, they're elite with their hands, so we try to pride ourselves on our pressure on the ball, and they were able to handle that pressure. And when we sent one or two or three to the ball, they got that over our hands. And they're so damaging with their outside speed and hands that they were able to push forward and kick goals on us, easy goals over the back in the end. So full credit to them, and we weren't able to manage that today.
As a midfield group, how was the challenge of going up against a side with Sean Darcy and Rory Lobb and not really having a recognised ruckman in there yourself?
Yeah, it's certainly challenging. It's something that I know myself and Travis Boak now throughout of our careers have sort of battled with a fair bit. There's a lot of times where we haven't had a ruckman, but I think our starting points remain really strong off a body, and we're almost not expecting to win the taps. We know the boys in the ruck will give us a contest, but we understand they're probably not in their ideal position. But look, I don't think that was the issue today. We fought really hard. Sean Darcy had a really big impact on the game, but I think we were able to sort of get some wins from there.
All right, I'll send you upstairs to a few questions from our team. You've got Ben Cameron, Clint Wilden, Cara Antonio and Bo McDonald.
Hey Ollie, Cara Antonio, condolences on the loss. An outstanding individual effort from yourself. I was really impressed with the last quarter from the Port boys. What was said at three-quarter time? Because it was like a different team had come out after the break.
Yeah, you're right, Cara. I think even us as a playing group noticed the differences in that last quarter, and I think there's a certain freedom you get to play with when there's nothing on the line and you almost think that the game's gone. And we were able to take the game on, play really aggressive through the corridor, take kicks that perhaps we were a bit nervous to take in the first three quarters, which is something I guess we'll look back on, and perhaps we can take a few more of those early to get an opportunity. But I think playing with that freedom and having nothing to lose really came into it, and there's a lot in that.
Ollie Wines, Bo McDonald here, mate. Yeah, condolences on the loss. You spoke. I'm intrigued about the centre bounce stuff. You spoke about playing from the body and correcting your starting points. And I thought that the two big fellas did battle hard in there against a really good ruckman. Can you just elaborate a bit on what those starting point looked like for you when you understand you've got an opposition ruckman that gets dominant in the middle?
Yeah, there was certain changes we made throughout the night. So whether you're starting in front of your man or starting what we call back shoulder behind to push your opponent under. I think at times Darcy and Lobb were able to put the ball to space where they knew it was going, so that made it really challenging. But we just wanted to make it a battle, three mids against three mids. You're in your individual battles, and we weren't necessarily going to win the hit-outs or know where it was going to go, but when the ball hit the ground, we're going to have a red-hot crack.
Ollie, Ben Cameron here. Good to chat to you again. The two marks that we saw today, they were both pretty impressive.
Yeah, they were.
Hayden Young and also Mitch Georgiades. Where were you on the ground for both of them, and which was better?
Was it Hayden Young, did you say?
Yeah,
the
Hayden
free
Young,
one? Yeah, I was right in front of it. I was waiting for the crumb in front, but he obviously got up and took it. I thought that was an outstanding mark. Obviously, I said to him after, mate, how have you not injured yourself? And for the Georgiades, I was on the bench, so I think you're splitting hairs with getting the better one out of those two. They're pretty outstanding.
Ollie, I love speaking to you because I find you really refreshingly honest about things, and the slow start to the season for Port, I think it's been admirable the way you guys have fought on and kept your season alive after the Zip 5 start. But with the advantage of hindsight and looking back at it, where do you think it all went awry at the start of this year for Port?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and it's something that I think we were able to do some soul searching at the 0-5 mark when we were in that position, and reflect on what was successful over the previous 2 years where we did win the most games in the league. So simple things like pressure on the ball, sliding to help the defence, and pure contest, winning contested possession. I think they were in our DNA the last 3 years, and in those first couple of months of the season, perhaps we went away from that and tried to be a little bit flashy and sharpen up our offence. So I think we've been able to come back to those things, and look, we're competing with these top teams, Freo, Richmond, Geelong, but we're not able to beat them at the moment. So we're still a work in progress. We've still got plenty of opportunities for the season, and we're looking forward to working on it.
Ollie Wines, Clint Wilden here. Look, I'm really keen to get a bit more background. Your debutant today. Great to have another Burgoyne playing at AFL level. We know about his dad. We know about his nephew. What else can you tell us about Jace?
He's a very quiet guy, Jace. He's very slight. You probably wouldn't think that he's up to AFL level, but I think he handled himself really well out there. He's probably giving 20 or 30 kilos to his opponents at times, but he was terrific, and it was great to see another Burgoyne, as you said, debut for Port Adelaide. I think he's showed a lot of talent, and he's got a long career ahead of him with us.
Do the Burgoynes have to go with the socks up? Is that like a family
That
rule?
is, yeah. So Peter, who is Jace's dad, and also Trent, who was on our list, they wear their socks up because obviously their famous dad did for us.
I think I heard Sean say somewhere that his dad said to him, you know, if you can't be a footballer, at least look like one. Tuck your jumper in and wear your socks up.
I think that's exactly what they say.
Yeah. I think they look like and are footballers, or the Burgoynes. A last one for you. It's a simplistic question, Ollie, but I reckon it's what a lot of your supporters are thinking right now. Can you still play finals from where you're at?
Yeah, look, we think we can, and at the moment the ladder is against us, and those early losses have cost us, but I think there's plenty of opportunities ahead. Obviously, we're going to have to win some big matches against some good sides. We weren't able to do that today, but we've got opportunities coming forward. We've got a heap of home games to finish off, and we think there's big opportunities. So until we're dead in the water and no chance, we're always a chance.
39 disposals for you today, Ollie. You're outstanding, and thank you for talking to us.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Ollie Wines downstairs in the Port Adelaide rooms, and we appreciate the power and Ollie making himself available for us.
Yeah, I've got a lot of respect for Ollie. We know he's a Brownlow medalist, but he always fronts up when they lose, speaks exceptionally well, and you heard it there. You know, he knew the story, etc., and I'm not surprised that he does. He's a guy who, from living in Adelaide and being around Port, he takes such an interest in the grand history of the Port Adelaide Football Club. Like, I've been to Port Adelaide functions late at night where Ollie Wines is sitting there with former Port Adelaide players, just completely intrigued, learning about the history of this club. So, I think he deserves a bit of praise for that. Well done.
Beating full-time, Fremantle over Port. Make it really tough for Port Adelaide from here, it must be said. 15-9-99 to Port 14-7-91. Of the run home, the 7 games they have to come, they've got 4 sides in the top 8. Melbourne, Geelong, Collingwood and Richmond, and they play them all in a row, rounds 18, 19, 20 and 21. They've got the Giants at home next week, and they finish the season off with Essendon at the Docklands and then the showdown at Adelaide Oval in round 23. It's going to be tough to see them getting into the top 8 from where they are right now, with having played 15, won 7, lost 8. We'll have a look at the ladder in just a moment. Before we do that, though, update from the Super Netball. 2.5 minutes to play. The Fever up by 13 goals. West Coast 68, the Melbourne Vixens 55. Let's go downstairs and have a little listen to Justin Longmuir, the Fremantle coach.
No, we just lost ascendancy around the ball, and thought we were able to get our hands on it at times, but then just kept on coughing it up, and they got goal side of us way too easily, and we lost contests and just lost our way for a period there. And then I thought we dug in pretty well, and I got lucky with a few missed shots in that last little period, but there's a lot to like. Didn't jump into the game that well. They kicked 3 goals, and then I think we kicked 14 to 6 or something like that for nearly 2.5 quarters. So there's a lot to like, but we got a bit of a lesson in that last quarter. You drop your intensity, you don't get your method right, and the game can swing pretty quick.
Your best was electrifying times. You're 18 down early and you're 40 up, and you end up, as you say, with the game being on the line. How do you reduce that gap, do you reckon?
I'll review it first and see what went wrong. And then, and then just review it like we always do. Clearly the modern game revolves around the contest, and that's not always stoppage. It's can be isolated contests that they're able to speed up off and get goal side off. Or nullify us in our front half, and against a team that gets a run on and gets the game on their terms, you need to make sure you defend with the ball, and we just kept on turning the ball over in areas that made it hard to defend. So we'll strike the balance because we need to get back to our best, and I think we played some of our best footy today. So we'll just need to find the balance for that.
It's having a hamstring. Do you have any indication of whether it's more on one side? Or...
Not sure yet. I haven't spoken to the docs. But, it's serious enough to get him out of the game, so we'll just, see how it is.
You identified centre-bounce in the lead-up as a part of your game that needed a reset. The game seemed to swing a fair bit on how you're going in centre-bounce. How do you view that with your guys?
I think our mids got back to some of their better footy, and they got to work in the last quarter and nullified our stoppage dominance. But I think, led by Sean, we got our method a lot better, and some of our players are back to their best, and I thought they worked well together, and it gave us a real advantage in the game.
How critical is centre-backs in footy this season? It seems like it's having a big impact on games.
Yeah, well, you watch as much footy as me. It's absolutely, because you get even numbers. Deep injuries can become really, really beneficial. But the other thing that happened today a little bit was, first possession didn't always turn into clearance, and on that spilt ground ball, they were able to get goal side and get some looks off that, and so were we at times, with their aggressive half forwards and half backs coming in. So it's a vital part of the game, and I think we at times we probably got caught in over handballing backwards, which fueled a bit of their pressure, and at times we got our method right and scored. So we just have to work on that.
Can you talk a little?
No, you go. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your captain's role today and what you wanted from him?
We wanted him up around stoppage. I think he helps us there. Then we wanted him forward of the ball. So I thought he was back to some of his best through those middle two quarters and helped us get the game on our terms. And I thought he took a step forward.
The decision to not play him as a centre-bounce, can you talk us through that decision-making process?
It was probably around just making sure we're really clear on our roles, and that just helped with that. Helped clear his role up, and helped clear the other mids' roles up. Allowed him to really prepare really well, and took a little bit of the confusion out of it for us.
So did you like that, and do you think that would be the way forward from here?
We'll play it by ear. I'm just not going to sit here and give the opposition head start on what we're doing with Nathan Fyfe every week. It's supposed to be a secret, some of this stuff, and we're supposed to be able to go into a game and catch the opposition off, but I just get asked 15 questions a week on where Fyfe is going to start, his game time, his mid-forward split. Give the guy a break. We all want him back to his best. It's going to take a little bit of time. I thought he took a good step forward today, and he was instrumental when we were playing our best footy.
I think the criticism really more.
No.
It's intriguing.
Yeah, it is.
What he does is
I understand it.
Everyone finds it interesting, and you've dominated clearance, and he's played forward, and Lob's kicked 5, and so the mix that you had around him worked today.
Yep.
Clearly. So people are going to be interested in what that means for the future.
Yeah, but I don't think last week was because he was in the midfield. Last week we had a lot of players down all over the ground. And we weren't as connected as we needed to be at stoppage. But I just feel like a lot of the questions you get asked, and sort of either he holds a lot of the blame sometimes when he's just one of 18 guys on the field.
So do you feel that he's keeping the opposition guessing? He can play anywhere. Do you think that's an advantage for you guys if they're not sure?
It has to be, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It has to be. So it has to be. So, I don't get asked about it. The 23 other guys that are in the squad, or 26 other guys that are in the squad, week in, week out, and their game time and their midfield forward split, and when his rotations are and all that sort of thing. So.
And once around those either.
No, you're right.
Rory Lob's 5, he's been having a pretty good year, right?
Yep.
And he's got a lot of focus on him. So what does that sort of game do for him, do you reckon?
It should give him a lot of confidence. He's been competing really well for us all year, and whether he gets rewards on the scoreboard or not in some games, that doesn't really bother us as long as he's given a really competitive performance and making the ball land in a real predictable area for our smalls. And he's been doing that all year. He got some reward for effort today. I thought having the 3 tools down there actually helped him because it nullified the other 2 tools and engaged gauged them, and I thought Tabs and Griff were dangerous in their own right. And then that gave Rory some looks on the lead, which sometimes he doesn't get if he's fighting against a couple. So, I thought his ruck work was pretty strong as well, and he was able to get a clear hand to a lot of balls around the contest. So, I was pretty happy with his all-round game.
It was a pretty frantic finish, and there was a big moment with Andrew Brayshaw, a chase down tackle. Can you talk us through what you saw in that moment?
I thought he had a couple of massive contests in the last quarter, and he just never gives up. And his fitness is at a level that allows him to run at high speed for long periods of the game. And we needed a big effort there because it looked like it was going to be a certain goal. And he managed to turn the ball over, and we got a good look back the other way. So I thought he had a few efforts like that in the last quarter. Really stood up for us.
Justin Longmuir downstairs, or questioned by Craig O'Donoghue. And to his point, I know it must be annoying answering those questions about Nat Fyfe, but not only does he have 2 Brownlow medals, he's also the only bloke at Fremantle who would draw an extra 1,500 people to a waffle game to see him play. He's also their captain, and he's their most recognisable player. So, yes, I know why you have to tiptoe around those questions. I also know why, let's say, your entire Fremantle membership want to know exactly what Nat Fyfe's doing, because they absolutely love him. Just have a look at the number of kids with 7s on their back. Yeah, I thought he handled it pretty well. I thought actually everyone handled that really well.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, Cara and I were just talking off air just then about Fyfe, how he plays that 6, that high forward. I'd like to see him as one of the deeper ones. Send the other quicks up there, get in around the stoppage. We know he's good around the stoppage, and that's why they put him up there. But he can mark the ball, and I'd be clamping if he was taking me back.
Let's pause, because the Super Netball Grand Final is over. Here are the closing stages, courtesy of Fox Sports.
1 minute away from a premiership here, the West Coast Fever. Wow, and they still look composed. A little bit of a blink right at the end there between Simmons and Teague Neal. The long ball, Austin. What can she do? Kamrinda back to Austin, 45 seconds.
The crowd are all up on their feet.
Well, it doesn't suit for Kira Austin. Have a look at the crowd. They are on their feet, as you say, Maddie Brown. Wow, the bench is on their feet. Dan Ryan just continues to look at the scoreboard. It is not counting down fast enough for him.
The roof, they want the ring to lift up. It is incredible.
12 the difference. And look at the toying with the ball. Verity Simmons throws one away, but they don't care. Dan Ryan is on the brink of tears. The emotion. 4 seconds. The final shot, but little too late. It is fever pitch here at RAC Arena in Perth as they take their first premiership in 25 years. It was the Perth Orioles before them, but now the West Coast Fever are your 2022 Suncorp Super Netball champions.
So the Fever winning 70 goals to 59 over the Melbourne Vixens. That happening just a few seconds ago over at Perth Arena. Congratulations to everyone from the West Coast Fever, who, as I said, the Perth Orioles, who I remember covering as a Cub reporter, who I remember going to the airport once when they came back from winning a game in Brisbane, because that's how rarely they won.
Well, I remember it also, Clint, because my mother was the inaugural coach.
I remember. I remember Di.
Fortunately, she passed away a year or so ago, but she'd be a very happy lady tonight up there.
She would be. They went through some very tough times in the early days, the Perth Orioles.
They certainly did. I remember Sally Ironmonger. She was my favourite.
She was great.
Back. She used to kill everyone. Big Johnny's sister.
Do you remember... what was the famous house in Mosman Park?
It was Rose Hancock's house.
Yeah, they all went for the official first team photograph on the stairs at Rose Hancock's house.
Craig Starcevich, the coach of the women's Brisbane Lions team, his mother was the team manager.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that was a long time ago. I think I've got that photo stuck around somewhere of all the girls.
I would still have that. So Waveney Senior was their captain.
Yeah, Wag, she was a terrific player.
Yeah, I used to go and watch them play and, with the grace of respect, lose every week out at Challenge Stadium. Yeah, they were great days for at least cheering on, but they've finally broken through for WA netball. Well done to the Fever over the Vixens.
A little bit of breaking news from here as well. The Fremantle Emergencies have been doing their running, and Connor Blakely has limped off injured. Hasn't completed his running, so you don't have to be dead to be stiff, do you? I mean, yeah, you wait around all Sunday. It's cold. Everyone's left. They say get out there and do some extra running, and I'm guessing a calf just from the way he limped off, but